I want to take you there where we left you yesterday. Okay. All right. So, guys, yesterday we were somewhere here. Okay. I had kicked off the business model canvas. Okay. So, we did the 10 elements, sorry, the 9 elements of the business model canvas. Okay. Which included, sorry, key partnership, key activities, key resources, value proposition. Just to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, where are we? We are discussing elicitation techniques, which means if tomorrow Suchitra wants to find some value in provoking the client into a discussion and she comes to a conclusion while doing her homework that this technique seems to be closer to where she wants to take their mindset into. So she wants to drive their thoughts. You're getting me right? Business analyst drives the thoughts of the SMEs. SMEs are a bundle of good knowledge, information, product and service experiences, customer experiences. They've been there in the last so many years now, right? And then we want that the if you say what's the secret again, maybe an additional recipe of success of a business analyst, what it could be, these guys know the business, they know the processes, they know the technologies behind, they know their customers, they know most of it. What makes you successful, or for that matter what makes every business analyst reasonably successful when he gets into a, you know, into a, let's call it an alien territory for now. Yeah. But the fact is that business analysts normally come out with flying colors. One, of course, that they know the smarter tricks. Okay. uh which enables them to drive the requirements. But honestly, driving the requirements has a prerequisite, and that's called driving the discussions. You get their attention and mindset on the right note, you are driving them. If you are driving them, then you are maneuvering them, you are twisting them, turning them, so that you can achieve the purpose for which you are sitting there with them. And for that, I'm helping you with some of these, about 30, 40 odd techniques, so that you get a flair of every technique. Okay. And then you think which one I should use and why. Before every client meeting, please do me a favor, in the future as well, just run through this entire set of elicitation techniques. Okay. And then let me know, uh, or let yourself know. I may be probably a little far away from you. Okay. But you're of course most welcome to discuss with me anytime, things on the email, even in any time in the future. Last 30 batches are doing that with me, so don't worry. So you can choose the technique you want to do and find the right material around each thing. So for example, if you're thinking of using business model canvas tomorrow, ensure that these pointers, for example, key resource, who are our value, who are the key resources, what is our proposition here, who are our relationships, distribution channels, revenue streams. Do you think there is a value in discussing that? If the answer is yes, then pick up this point. Similarly, other points. So what you have to guys do is you have to see the right fitment. You have to see the right fitment of the elicitation technique and then carry on with that. That is the key to the success story. Okay. All right. So let me just make a small point here. All right. Good. Okay. So we did business model canvas. We did 2 slides, and then I realized that I have another 3 slides for that. Okay. So, and it begins from here. Yeah. So this is the third slide. So we will probably do maybe 2, 3 more slides on business model canvas, and then we'll come down to other techniques. Yeah. Okay. Continuing with business model canvas. Now I'm typically showing you some slides which says usage of this in the business analysis context. Yeah. So now just take you through a quick refresher. What are our key 9 business models elements? Okay, so you are discussing who are our key partnerships, who are the key activities we do, what are the key resources, what are the value propositions. Okay, what are how we are sustaining and growing our customer relationships, how are they integrated with the rest of the business model. Okay, who are your channels, what is the customer segmentations. This comes in very useful, guys, in a very business centric business analysis case. What are your cost structures, what are your revenue streams. Okay, considering that you already have a fair amount of information and control on these 9 building blocks, the next step for you is going to be to step here. Okay, now if it is a new startup, if then you have to question the business model. Okay, so let's say, for an easy example or a reference, uh, e-commerce at some point of time was more than just probably a startup. Maybe in India, outside India probably it was a full-fledged business model for long years. Okay, and if Amazon is almost words, of course it is words number one in e-commerce, I'll tell you there's a reason behind it, and I'll tell you an interesting story behind that. I went to US a couple of times in the last few years. My elder brother stays there as well. Yeah, my elder brother, he's very fond of, and in fact he's a connoisseur of wristwatches. Okay, exotic wristwatches, which could be definitely expensive as well, but he keeps a track of them, and he keeps a track of them wherever they are available globally, and obviously at a discounted prices. Yeah, the chronographs, for example, which are specially made, specially done, custom made, handmade, etc., they can be proved to be very expensive. I realized, and I asked my brother that how do you fulfill your ambition of securing the custody of such watches, because they are fairly expensive, etc. So, and he obviously told me that it's that he keeps a track of them anytime if they can come onto any discounts. Okay, but the second thing what he said told me was the Amazon's loyalty program is one of his biggest strengths. So he is in US for 20 years, and he shops from Amazon fairly regularly from 20 years now. So he's an very special, kind of a loyalty customer for them. And for such loyal customers, you know what they do? If he logs on and he sees a watch, okay, which is, for example, at $3,000, it's a discounted price. Yeah. And so this is one of those e-commerce portals of Amazon where there is some kind of an auction as well. So he logs on to that portal. He just clicks that to show his interest in the watch. Okay, because he's very loyal customer, Amazon waits for 30 days till the time he either drops his interest or buys the watch. And during the 30 days, if anybody else is like me or you are seeking interest in the same watch and you are bidding for it, you know what? He gets to understand where is the bid going. So Amazon gives him that information, enables him to make a good decision. Okay, if he is still very keen. So, and that's a leeway for 28 days. You can just imagine that how strong this loyalty can be. But Amazon has done a wonderful job in sustaining such customers. I'm not sure how much, but probably he may shop for about maybe $1,000 or $1,500 a month. That makes it probably $15,000 to $20,000 a year. Yeah. So the point here is that customer relationship is a fantastic differentiating factor. And what is Amazon doing? Probably at some point of time they discussed and they brainstormed that how they can keep a very special loyalty program for their auction site customers. And obviously they came out with this thing. And if it came out, it was probably configured into some kind of a functionality, and the entire e-business auction portal that way came up. So somebody must have worked on it. Probably there was a business analyst, a group of them who had suggested, this kind of a plan. And then it was configured that way, etc., etc. So the point I'm trying to make is, guys, that business analysts can make a lot of difference. It just depends on the creativity and of the visualization which you can bring forward. And please trust me, it doesn't always come with experience. What comes with experience is that you will be able to, with experience, you can make a more optimized solution than probably the one who may not be too experienced. But the fact is, creativity waits for no time, no experience. Creativity is anytime, anywhere available if you are putting a focus onto the thing. So business model canvas is useful if there is there is a typical business scenario of merger acquisition, if it's a business scenario for moving from legacy application to COTS implementation, which is very customized applications. Okay, so how does the package software change your business model? All that thing is easily discussed, and the requirements are found out if you are using business model canvas, thanks to the 9 basic building blocks of the same. So for example, legacy to COTS implementation. Yeah, let's go back to our business model. Okay, so the customer is sitting on a large chunk of legacy system since many years. They want to move to a very customized build technology platform which has just the right applications for them. Now in this case, open your business model canvas and let's start discussing this. Okay, key partnership. When now you have been on legacy and now you want to move to the custom technology applications. Okay, partner suppliers or key resources that we acquiring from the partner where key business partner activities will be performed. So in the COTS application that you have chosen, do you have any partners in it? Have you already sorted out some suppliers? Considering the answer is yes, the fact is that you need to be with those resources who are going to implement this for you. Now wait, the requirements haven't yet come in, but you're just being with those business partners. Point one. Point two, as you move to the COTS applications, what is the unique proposition is bringing in? What is the value proposition which is coming in via that? And in that, what are going to be the likely revenue streams which might get impacted? Yeah. So essentially, guys, it's about shaking up your business model, which was sitting on the strength of your legacies applications and now will sit on the strength of your your new customized applications. Yeah. Okay, so essentially, guys, if you're understanding where I'm trying to go, is it's all about value propositions. Yeah, because eventually that's what is make or break. Now uh, as you compare or benchmark with your competitors or whoever else, right? That time you will realize that moving solutions, moving technology platforms from an erstwhile to something which is smarter and better makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I think, Anchal, did you ask me? Yeah. Okay. So, guys, COTS, if okay, sorry, I assume that you guys understand COTS, but COTS is basically short form for commercial off the shelf. So it's basically an adjective that describes the software or hardware products that are already available. They are there for you. They are available in the market. They are designed to to be implemented easily into your existing systems without too much need of customization. Again, uh, let me go to the next slide and give you an example. Okay, so while you so where are we now? We are migrating. We are planning to migrate from legacy, to a custom application. Now, commercially off the shelf, for example, like your Microsoft Office, it's a COTS product. It's available off the shelf. You can just go buy the license and install it in your systems. So this is probably a simple example. Another simple example could be a simple antivirus software. Third simple example could be, a typical. I told you about Schlumberger application yesterday. So let's say all these COTS vendors, those big guys who have designed hardware and software products, which they sell to the players within the similar industry, which are used extensively across the industry. So all those are basically COTS products. Okay, typically they are either a software product or a hardware product. Now, there is a slight difference. There are three categories of products. One is COTS, commercially off the shelf available. The second one is very custom designed. Yeah. So, and hey guys, you remember that I gave you a little walkthrough in one of your assignments of, sitting with your stakeholders, where a bank is trying to move from a legacy application to a COTS applications. Okay, remember where we sat with the, I mean, showed you those slides where they're like, say, Tanaka was one of the, Sheelan was the specialist and Tanaka was the bank employee, and she's reluctant to tell you a lot of details. Did you see that? Did you see that assignment, guys? Anyone of you tried it up, where there are 6 slides of different stakeholders profiles, backgrounds, and then the idea was that you self discuss that if you are within that business ecosystem or that scenario, how would the different stakeholders may react to the common objective for which you have caught them together into that meeting. Did anybody of you see that assignment? I think we gave a walkthrough last week. Okay, not yet. All right. Yeah, Anchal, I think you were anyway very keen and curious about the assignments. So, Anchal, you saw that assignment, right, in which we have movement of a from again legacy applications, and there's a heated debate going on among stakeholders. Some are in favor, some are not in favor. So it's the same example where the bank has 50,000 branches and they all have very individual kind of software systems for every branch almost, and then they move on to a you want to move to a common harmonized software. Yeah. Okay, coming back. So channels, segmentation, cost structures, revenue stream, this is what really will create a difference. If I go back to the same slide. Oh, you tried that, fantastic. So Anchal, how was it? Guys, let's take a 2 minutes discussion with Anchal. Anchal, how was it? Were you able to understand the very high variety of reactions which different stakeholders can give, where one is a specialist from a software team, one is a farmer, one is one or two are low end users, one is an industry expert. Yeah. So you could see that how different stakeholders could have very different viewpoints, and you are sitting in the middle of it. Yeah. So could you, I just want to ask you one thing, Anchal. Could you feel the heat of how requirement discussions can start, maybe on a little rough note, maybe on something till the time you start aligning with the stakeholders? So a lot of those assignments are principally designed to give you that experience. Okay, coming back, business model canvas, guys. New product launch. So you want to launch a new product. Now, business model canvas gives you a liberty through those 9 building blocks to take a deep dive into your customer segmentations, cost structures, revenue streams, which are likely going to emanate from this new product fitment into the market. So basically, the point here is that if you are going looking around for requirements, you need a certain lever, because that lever provides the fundamental commonsensical proposition to your stakeholders, and they know that Suchitra is coming to them with a certain thought process and a certain technique. Thought process will come from the fact that Suchitra has been actively involved in understanding their as a systems. Thought leadership will come from her when she wants to propose a certain elicitation technique, because she believes that the various arms of the this technique fit into her current scenario. So she will maximize the amount of information from the stakeholders using a particular technique. All right, this is the story behind this elicitation techniques puzzle. So see, if you use business canvas model in such scenario, what do you get basically? You get answers to the questions whether enhancements to a current process or a system, are they planning to do some enhancement to their current systems? What aspect of your business canvas model will get impacted? It will tell you what kind of opportunities you have not even thought of. So once probably you try it in a more live kind of a model, you will probably realize that how these these elicitation techniques can. So see, if you are also realizing these are very different from what we have done as a generic elicitation techniques. So these specific elicitation techniques are for specific scenarios, and there are plenty of them. So you, with this repository, I think you can probably be taken care of. Okay, let's go to another one, since we are discussing so many of them. It's called collaborative games. Yep. Now this one, guys, is useful because it helps to speed up the development. Allow me to explain how. To improve the accuracy of elicitation, there are something called collaborative games, which allow the stakeholders and team to do a joint understanding of the problem. Typically, much used in agile form of business analysis. This is obviously to be used, guys, where your stakeholders are fairly mature people. You know why? Because this allows them to work directly with the development team. So there are cases where the business scenarios are vast, okay, and complex. But the good thing is that your stakeholders, some of them are fairly mature people. They are IT conversant to quite some extent as well. What happens that you, once you arrive at a detailed level of requirements with them, you allow the stakeholders to work directly with the development team. So one of the secret recipe of success for the software development lifecycle is that the business analyst is able to explain the business centricity behind the changes or behind the enhancements which we plan to do to the system. Think about it, guys. If your stakeholders are able to do the same, right? Wouldn't it be a good idea? Because then your IT team can have ample support in terms of getting this very clear idea about the business centricity of the changes. What happens is, now imagine if your development team has to, let's say, do a development on, automating, let's say, the delivery platforms, or automating, let's say, um, the some of the trade cycles in financial markets. Imagine a financial market broker is sitting with them. So the way he wants to operate it, the moment he logs in the morning, what kind of report he wants to see, what kind of rationale is he has with himself in order to see the report. If he's able to explain that very diligently in a slightly IT manner to your IT team, I think he can be probably as good as a business analyst in a way, right? So if you see an opportunity where you understand that the stakeholders can be involved in development cycle, please go ahead for the collaborative game. Collaborative game is nothing but an intense collaboration between the business analyst and the stakeholders, and knowing that the maturity level of the stakeholder is high enough, okay, this listening technique is implemented just in terms of having very intense form of conversations in terms of what are the requirements and how they need to be developed and why. So what, why, how, three answer to these three questions along with the stakeholders will give you enough specification which can be used for either writing a design spec or a functional spec. So if you really ask me, collaborative game by itself is only a form and style of engaging with the stakeholder in a more close knit manner. You know why? One of the strong reason for the success of this particular technique, while it allows you to be closer, well knit with the stakeholders, it also allows you a tremendous flexibility to use other techniques. So, guys, the fundamental success story remains the same. It's all about carving a right alignment with stakeholders. Once it is there, to be honest, of course, the applicability of a particular elicitation technique matters a lot. But the fact is, close collaboration allows you to use multiple techniques. You want to search a precise elicitation technique. Why? Because you don't really think that the stakeholders are up for any kind of a discussion on multiple parameters. That you say, hey, you know what, Mukraj, please give me a very specific elicitation technique for a specific scenario, so that, because I have very optimal time from them, and I don't think I will have a right set of energy from them if I continue the discussions longer. Yeah, I think this is from Marticus. Just give me a sec. Okay, sorry. So it allows you to bring in multiplicity of other elicitation techniques. So guys, remember, if you can use multiple techniques on the same set of stakeholders, it's great. You know why? You can bounce off some elements of one technique, some elements of another technique. It could be a pure hit and trial. I do that all the time because I don't know which will lead me to some concrete upfront results. Okay. So, but it's all depends on the fact that, okay, including if I'm setting a strong fundamentals on a collaboration, then the usage of multiplicity of elicitation techniques is probably okay. Okay, so where do you use collaborative games? Simple. If you have to fence out absolutely new ideas, if you want to drive your stakeholders into a complete agreement, if you have some tough decisions to make, if you have to unravel a very complex planning, okay, so as to formulate some kind of a design specification. So guys, if the goings get tough, you can, you know and you can bring in the collaborative game exercise. But I'll tell you what, another thing what I've realized in the last couple of years is it's okay to explain your elicitation technique completely, frankly, transparently to your stakeholders. Let them know that you're using a certain technique. What are the different areas about it? What are the different parameters about it which you will be using on them to bring them effectively into that right discussion maneuverability? Okay, so it's absolutely okay because they expect you to use certain techniques. So it's all right for you to be open with them. Okay, so let's see. All right, let's look at few components of the collaborative game. So you split the stakeholder into certain groups. Okay, so let's say purchase and sales come together, finance and business intelligence comes together, like-minded people, kind of, which are optimally related to each other in some way. Each group selects, different model and deliberates on how would this impact things like, again an example, marketing processes, its systems, ordering processes, fulfillment processes, etc. So look at the beauty of the situation. You are discussing with marketing, sales, and logistics. You have three set of stakeholders with you. You club them together into three different groups, and then you have selected different models. Now this model can be anything. One group you're implying on with business canvas model, another group you may be doing mind mapping, another group you may be doing data mining, another group you may be doing some other elicitation technique. Techniques are not very different from each other. Eventually they want to converge to the same point. Only thing depends is which technique will be more applicable on a particular group of stakeholders depending on the nature of the business scenario you are discussing, okay, and what kind of complexity it involves. So you apply 2 3 different techniques, each maybe individually on each group, okay, and then you deliberate on what are the different models which can be created. So now if let's say on marketing processes, if you are using business canvas model, you can discuss about your key channel partners, key resources, what are the impacts on the business model, what is the customer segmentation going to be impacted, etc., etc. Okay, so this is how it's a hit and trial, guys. Okay, you pick and choose, you try, you see, you should have some nerve to see how the technique is impacting the discussion, good, bad, ugly. Accordingly, take a decision, move forward, choose another one. The results don't seem to be very encouraging. Okay, let's come on to another area, guys. Again, another technique called concept modeling. Definition: concept model organizes the business vocabulary needed to communicate consistently about the know-how or the technology, the information, the knowledge of a problem domain. No, so what are you doing? It's more to do with your homework. You are building a basically a communication model here. That model typically has all the parameters you want to discuss about a certain problem area. You want to build up the different domain aspects about it. You want to basically discuss on the technology aspects about it. You want to discuss on the customer aspects about it. Okay, so you basically build some kind of a concept. This concept will have a couple of things. I don't know how this concept may look like. It all depends differently for different scenarios, but a concept could be starting, of course, needless to say, the minimum prerequisites is that it has business terms and definitions, number one. Okay, the second thing is it's rich in vocabulary. Which vocabulary? Business vocabulary. So if you're talking to a mining client, ensure that all the mining related vocabulary is there. After all, you are presenting a concept. Yeah, so this uses high quality design independent definitions. Okay, so it's free from any kind of a data. So here you pick and choose the core concepts of the business problem, which in this case, let's assume it's a mining client. They want to optimize their supply chain, right? And that involves how the mining operations are done, how they are executed, how they are tracked from the control towers, which keeps a check on all the important KPIs, which each process must come closer to. Okay, so you basically, what are you doing? You're presenting a concept to a mining client where it's like, let's say a sheet of paper in front of me. There are various processes happening. Okay, there are various technology partners, etc., sitting on your canvas, on your A4 size sheet. So there's a drilling happening. You mention the KPIs which already are there, or you might to like to put there for amount of, let's say, potassium dug from the earth, which is typically at a depth of 25 meters and below. So how much in a period of time? It's a small KPI. It's about an actual drilling operations. Put it there. Okay, so maybe you can just put symbolic KPIs there because you may not be truly a mining SME, but build that up. Okay, and enrich that with high content definitions, etc. In a way, it's like showcasing that you are a domain expert in a way. Okay, so this concept modeling is basically about identifying the correct choice of terms to be used in communication. So the power tool here is communication, more apt from a domain language perspective. Okay, try to include some kind of a business rules somewhere where there's especially the high precision is required. So for example, let me tell you something. Drilling equipment for any mining clients are one of the highest cost streams. Drilling, typically drilling blades, drilling cutters, drilling gears, drilling precision equipment is something which costs very, very expensive. Now, if you're trying to include them into your concept modeling, guys, you will have to step into a little bit into the shoes of a domain expert, who's from mining. Once you're able to get a certain homework done upon it, make sure that you use those things. See, I'm not talking very different because we do this in our everyday life. Let's say it's just about a certain thing that I want to discuss with my boss tomorrow. I don't know anything really much about it. But still, don't I try to build 3 4 slides which I can present to him, where I can put certain domain specific terminology, some business specific terminology belonging to the scenario that we are going to discuss tomorrow. So I try to come across as a more valid, with more valid terminology. Why would I do that? Because I want to set the prerequisite for a very good discussion. What is the prerequisite? That the business analyst is able to open the Pandora's box to discuss the problem areas with the SMEs. What is the Pandora's box in this case? It is the business problems. Where are they sitting? They are sitting in the different processes. Where are those processes? They are inside a certain domain. What is the domain we are talking about? It's mining. Why mining? Because my client is mining client right now. So in that case, while you use other techniques, which is fine, concept modeling will set your credentials very well. So you may not be a big time mining SME, but make sure that you are able to use some precise business vocabulary in order to articulate what you think could be a problem area, possible scenarios, and then those guys can correct you up. Again, a little bit of shot in the dark, but you know what the beauty of thing is, it normally hits. Where do we use concept models? And where, in the sense that, probably a question from Jitendra, where it will be applicable more. Applicability is driven like that. Concept modeling will be interesting to use where the organization seeks to organize, retain, build, manage, and communicate core knowledge areas. I was doing a similar project some time back. It's all about, for example, that was all about e-learning concepts. Yeah. So the client in this case was it's a fund company, a big one by the name of Edelweiss. Edelweiss wanted to organize their knowledge on certain key documentations, part of as an e-learning, so that they can publish it across their organization, so that all employees can learn the various different processes from those documentations. So it was about organizing and retaining, and of course communicating or publishing these kind of knowledge areas. Okay, so concept model came in handy because as e-learning, I did obviously some homework, and I understood that how in e-learning, for such kind of scenarios, typically the requirements which we take are directly from the client in form of how their application is running, what are the different transactions happening. What we do is we use a certain software like Camtasia, etc., on the laptop itself. We run that application on the laptop. We capture each and every transaction process using that software tool, and after that, what we get is basically we create a storyboarding where we say on screen one, what is that probably some kind of a animation or pop-up is going to say. So for example, the user is logging into the system because they want to create sales order. First screen will see an animated user trying to log into his system. Okay, so the pop-up will say, the system will authenticate your user ID and password, so please be careful here and log in correct. Once logged in, it will go to a particular home screen. From home screen, it will go to a certain sub module on the sales side. Okay, then the customer the user will create a sales order, and once the sales order has found its product, pricing, discounting, and all entire is ready, it will save it and finalize that before it moves into delivery. So all this is going on in a e-learning mode. So basically, guys, The requirement was to create a e-learning module so that all the important processes can be captured directly on the screen. It can be converted to a graphics come animation come scom kind of like a e-learning things. Okay, let's call it, for the sake of simplicity, let's call them videos. So it can be captured into the videos. Within the videos there should be a trainer voice which should be voicing over the different transactions which needs to be done on screen 1, screen 2, screen 3. Okay, and then after that this documentation gets saved and then it is uploaded into a common repository where all the employees of the company can log on and learn about it. So here concept modeling came in handy. Why? What I did was I went prepared, with some kind of a mock demo about how story movie is created, typically in such case, which tools are used, okay, and how do they capture the knowledge, create a document, how the document is enriched with animations and a lot of other things like that, and then we save it into a final file. That file is more like a video. Okay, so when it is played, any employee of the company can walk through and probably try those transactions on his own as well into the system. It's a e-learning capsule. So there concept modeling was obviously quite useful. Similarly, guys, in applicability, concept modeling is used for a project which, to capture hundreds or thousands of business rules. All the data led business analysis programs. So business analysis is about business, but many times you have to do projects which are related to data. So what is the business point of view about data? Because the data is all business data, and you have to capture it in the databases. You have to create kind of an app which can be responsible for capturing all that thing into the database in a very secure manner, because it's business data. So there, for data transformation you need to use probably hundreds of business rules. Again, concept modeling, because the generic rules which can be applicable. Okay, but because it's a data conversion, the business rules which are going to be applied are not very different. They are the same ones which probably were applied in the similar projects in the last 6 projects. So you prepare a concept, you prepare where you want to, where you see a direct applicability of certain rules very well. You can define the scenario, put the rule on front of it, and say that this rule will be used for this particular business scenario. Another area of usage is where there is a significant pushback from the business stakeholders about the perceived technical nature of data models or class diagrams or data elements or definitions, etc. So when there is a push from the stakeholders because they perceive this modelings that you are doing as highly technical, concept modeling comes very handy. Why? Because it's just a concept. You're just going to explain the functional perspective about it, okay, and then at least they will understand what they are not trying to understand, unfortunately, through the other way, where we are typically presenting them with some kind of a technical specification, and then we say that this is what ID teams have given us as a prototype, and this is how the likely prototype is going to look like. Similarly, scenarios where out of the box solutions, because some business processes are getting re-engineered. So guys, re-engineering, we really don't know where it will take us. But the fact is, we can at least prepare some concept about various business scenarios which are likely going to result if we re-engineer the current sales process to align it better with or compatible with the customer service. So today, if I'm in that organization, I will say customer service is way different, remotely connected to the mainline selling systems of the company. So if the customer is not going to perceive that service element, probably the deal anyway will not happen. So for any kind of a re-engineering of business processes which hasn't been tried earlier, we rather may like to just build a concept and deliberate using that with the stakeholders, because it's a re-engineering. We don't know what will happen after the re-engineering, which way we want to do a re-engineering that can be probably put in a different different kind of suggestions in form of a concept modeling. Okay, so that was concept modeling. Let's get into financial analysis. Okay, financial analysis could be a little simple, guys. These are referred also as financial statement analysis, accounting analysis, anything. Okay, because finance is accounts and accounts is finance statement, and anything like an analysis on these three will lead you to a common result. Financial analysts and business analysts, by the way, mark your words, these are two different roles. Examine the data of internal and external clients and use their findings to make recommendations about business decisions. Financial analyst typically studies the financial data, attempting to spot the trends. Overall assessment is with respect to viability, profitability, stability, etc. So nothing French about it. Financial analysis has been used time and again across hundreds of such projects where financial data analysis gives a better requirements to us than other things. Let's take merger and acquisitions. So now when you're going to merge with another company, typically what's more important is financial ratios like debt to equity, okay, or any kind of, let's say a debt to the available cash. Yeah, those kind of ratios which basically reflect the true health of the company, which I'm assuming is reflected better if it comes from the financial numbers. So financial analysis of a situation to give us an heads up, what do we want to build additionally into it or we don't want to build, is always has been a practice in the industry. So maybe it was being done in a little informal way, but then eventually it turned out that this is accepted now as a firm financial analysis is now accepted as a full-fledged elicitation technique. So nothing too functional about it, nothing too technical about it. It's all about selecting and selecting the key trends or spots where the support applicability means additional services. Any questions? Anytime, guys. Okay, so what is the BA doing when we think that, hey guys, let's do a financial analysis as a requirement generating technique? Business analyst looks at the company data, uses the findings to help management make some business decisions. This was rather simple. So those kind of key findings from the data which help you to spot a trend and then convey that trending in a whichever way it is, positive or negative, to the set of officials who are going to launch certain new applications based on the same things. So the management wants to make decisions. They will look at a BA. BA probably currently has a lot of data to sit on. So typically the recommendations about a particular pattern of services or something else getting changed over a period of time is an answer which should come from BA. Oh, by the way, this data is nothing very, very super secretive or something like that. It's basically a day-to-day data, day-to-day operational data, with what we are talking about. So principally, we are talking about more of applicability of pure operational data for this kind of a elicitation technique, because operational data's ratios, financial ratios, truly reflect how good or bad the company is doing. Savan, data mining is a little bit different. See, this is only the financial data. Okay. I think we are yet to reach data mining. So I'll explain that how data mining is basically purely based on business analytics. Okay. So you use a lot of analytic techniques there. Here, see, business analyst looks at the company data and uses the finding to make business decision. So let's say a simple debt equity ratio. It doesn't need, data mining. It is there, right? Maybe let me give you some more example. I think I had them handy. Just give me a sec. Mm, I had actually kept it open for you guys because I knew that we will probably have some discussion on it. Let me find that. It's more actually tabulated somewhere. So let me mention those things and I think you will get it pretty quick. Financial data, financial data. Okay, not here. Maybe not here. Maybe, no, not that. I had made certain notes about it because I suspected that some kind of questions like that will come in. So I think we can go through that. Just give me a sec, guys. Hola, hola. All right. This seems to be a little missing, yeah. Hey, either it's in this file or we'll do it after the break. Because looks like I'll need to find them. Okay, one sec. Just give me 1 sec. Hey, somebody's asking that if you need some help during weekdays, right? How can I reach you? Yeah, guys, you can reach me on my email ID. I'll give you my email ID. Hang on. I'll just type it down. But guys, strictly email ID, please. Yeah, no call or something. It's a little busy week after week, at least for now. So you can just give me your query. I'll quickly give you an answer on the same. If I think it needs a certain longish discussion, then I'll bring that point into the discussion itself on the weekends, so that everybody can know about it. Okay, yeah, I found these notes. So guys, financial ratios, for example, we are looking at purely 7 financial analysis, right? So you may have heard of, for example, solvency ratio, which includes, let's say, debt equity ratio, debt asset ratio, interest coverage ratio, profit margins, return on assets, return on equity, return on capital employed, gross margin. Got it? All those basically, all those kind of ratios are something which you can find out from the financial analysis only. Now, data mining is much more vast. Data mining could be about anything. It could be about branding, customer service, vendor vendor transactions, customer transactions, which helps you to detect the trends which are going on from vendor services or your services towards the customer. So that is a much larger span. Financial analysis is again about finance only. And you know what? Here you don't have to mine the data, because here the ratios are more easily available, because eventually they are nothing but um, about just about numbers. So this, let's call this financial analysis, let's call it ratio analysis, because let's say principally it is more of ratio analysis. So what do we call it? We define it as a quantitative analysis of the maybe typical information contained in the company's financial statements, right? So these ratios help us in what? Various aspects. How is the company's operating performance, financial performance, its liquidity, its profitability, solvency, etc. Right? So basically, that is what is more contained from a financial analysis. All right, it's more of only a finance related data, ready availables, where you have to more look at the ratio and create a management decision point. If the debt equity ratio is high, right, this means the numerator is high. This means the debt of the company is probably more than what it should can afford, though it is maintaining a certain liquidity. I'm sorry, debt equity, it's maintaining a certain equity with itself, But the fact is, if it wants to divest more, okay, it can either have two decisions. If it wants more funds, it can either divest some equity or it can take more debt. If already the debt is high enough compared to the equity, then I think it may not be probably a right idea. Maybe a finance guy can explain it better. But generally, I think I'm giving you more of a business perspective. Sit with the financial SME, look at the statements, ask questions about these ratios. You will get a fundamental health, financial health about the client you're working for. And then if you are venturing into something which probably has high impact on their financial ratios, probably then you know what could be the right requirements which you have to find and what is the requirements which you have to drop, because you need to drop some requirements because they have high financial impact. While you get to understand your requirement from different SMEs, you need to create an impact for the same by sitting with the financial SME to know what is their strategy, what are the business models, and eventually how does it converge onto the financial ratios. Now, let's say your debt equity ratio is high. This means you need to find opportunities to streamline that ratio. What it entails, you need to find those mechanisms which will help you, to reduce the debt, and probably and to do so you need to have probably make a change. This change could be business or non-business. Any change like that is eventually going to be termed as a requirement because it is mitigating a certain risk or helping you to overcome certain business problem. So eventually, while you do these functional discussions, it will lead you to a requirement, and that's what you're looking for. But I think, Savan, we are going to come to mind data mapping in any mining, data mining in any ways very soon. So I think we'll explain that also that way. Yeah. Okay. Looks exciting, right? Mind mapping. Okay. What is it used for? Used for articulating and capturing thoughts, ideas, and information relate to a certain conduct elicitation. Conduct elicitation, I think, should be requirement elicitation. Let me check whether it's miscorrect. It's a incorrect thing. Yeah, we'll get to understand while we read the other things. Okay, planning, taking notes, organizing ideas, creative kind of a problem solving, collaboration, summarizing are the areas of its application. The role of a business analyst being primarily to investigate, evaluate, and scrutinize the info obtained from stakeholders as well as any other relevant documentation. So mind mapping is nothing but a clear articulation or representation of ideas, concepts, thoughts, and problems. Nothing, no template about it, guys. Just a smart representation or articulation from the business analyst in front of the stakeholders, articulating whatever ideas, concepts, thoughts have come in the previous 3 weeks, and which way they have converging to form a certain strong opinion, and an opinion which is evolving into a concept which is going to lead to the solution of the problem. Okay. Why mind mapping? Because they are useful in organizing thoughts in an easy and efficient way. Today's business environment is fast paced. Obviously, like anybody else, BA is even more hard pressed to save time, enhance the effectiveness, and eventually come across as a creative person in their thought processes. This is like a must for being a successful business analyst. An example for this is you do a good presentation, prepare a good presentation and deliver it. So where do I see a business analyst? I see a business analyst in patiently having the right discussion, exploring ideas, using different elicitation techniques, then collating that particular different ideas, what he has understood from the business. And I think you need to absorb a lot from business guys, because as I said, these are the SMEs, these are the experienced people. They've been there, done that, they know the nerve and pulse of everything. Okay, so your job will be also to absorb a lot from these guys. Absorption is great. What next? Next is to use those thoughts to organize that into certain recommendation based on a pointer which you got from the business. And this whole chapter of doing all this is called mind mapping. So you map the mind of your stakeholders. So what happened? You map their mind, you absorb the thoughts from their side, you put them into, shape them into some kind of a creative idea. Okay, but you want to bounce with the business stakeholders because you don't know whether the idea is good, bad or ugly. The idea could be anything, but the articulation and representation of the same towards your stakeholders is something what we say. Okay, you absorbed their mind, you mapped it onto a slide, you are presenting that slide in order to deliberate on the possible outcome, and hence which can lead to a recommendation framework. So guys, trust me, I don't know how it sounds to you, but many times when I'm absolutely short of any particular technique, I just go for general technique like this. Now, is there anything scientific about it? Not really. It is just a technique which is emerging to make you more organized. And you know what? We have given it, Babcock has given it a name, mind mapping. Now, why was it necessary? It doesn't look like a technique, right? Somebody of you might ask me. It was necessary because business analytics is terribly in paucity of time. And if you want to come across as credible business analyst in a short period of time, because you know you don't have time anyways, all you can do is to be a bit creative. How do you become creative? You don't become creative just because your name says now that you're a business analyst. You become creative 80% of the time, not from your own inner self, probably. A lot of times in journal day-to-day life, you become creative by absorbing and mapping the mindset of other people in front of you. So it's the same story. If you understand your stakeholder and align with them so well, you're bound to get ideas and creative thoughts. And that's fine. They didn't even know that they are dumping a lot of creative thoughts on you, probably because you had a very good organized discussion with them. But the fact is, guys, any organized discussion will result in very good notes. And the notes are the fundamental for you to look at them in later in peace and silence, and then try to use those detailed notes to create certain ideas which have come up during the brainstorming. And these ones are the ones which will form as a fundamental basis of your presentations or articulations to your business stakeholders. When you present formally and articulate the ideas which you formed after absorbing those notes, right? The ideas could be good, bad, ugly, but the fact is you will get a very clear go, no go from your business stakeholders. So this way you will validate the recommendations in a very effective manner. And even if you get a no go, they will tell you that what is bothering them about that particular shaping up of a requirement that you're trying to do. You address that problem of theirs, and your requirement looks more comprehensive, it looks more validated, it looks more meaningful to them. So guys, many times you're terribly short of requirements, and that happens, right? If you're in a very kind of a hazy business scenario, right, where the business problems are not very clear, what do? It's simple. You absorb from them, bounce it back with them. Okay, so gather the things from them, put it into a ball, put the ball as a bouncer back in their court. They will shape it up for you and put it back in your court. You capture the ball, and that's a ready requirement for you. More like a little smart trick in a short way. Okay, business capability analysis. So, guys, in every time when we are sitting and having some discussion, please read the words yourself as well. Business capability, analysis of business capability. You will understand at least some part of it already. Business capability analysis, guys, is basically it provides a framework for scoping and planning by creating or generating a shared understanding of outcomes, identifying a specific alignment with the strategy, and providing a scope and prioritization. It essentially involves modeling of what the business does and what it needs to achieve its objectives. Okay, and not how it achieves. So business capability analysis is is one of those few elicitation techniques which does not tell us how to achieve that objective. It just tells us what the business needs to do to achieve, not which way it needs to do. Just the strategy part, just the what part, not the how part. And that's why it typically relates to the business process management perspective. Okay, so business capabilities are organized around business processes. You are hearing this word very often, probably right from the day one when we started discussions on business analysis. Business process, guys, just to take a minute about it, business process is the supreme reaming authority which which dictates which way the requirements are going to be built. Everything relates to business process. Please listen to me very carefully. You will go to the clients where there are hundred or thousand of applications. These applications could be maybe custom applications, packaged kind of COTS application. They could be legacy applications. They could be very packaged kind of ERP applications. Okay, these are the different type of applications. But what is the meaning of that? Let me give you again a big story behind, which will help you to simplify the client's technology landscape very well. Most of the client's technology landscape have hundreds of applications. Now, these applications are performing different kind of functions. So let's go to a client where there are 100 apps. Okay, let's break down the apps. Let's assume that there are 10 groups of apps. Let me tell you the groups. One group is legacy applications. One is interface related applications. One is group is called middleware kind of applications. One group is called ERP applications. So these are different applications, and of course they perform different functions. Like ERP takes care of your financials, your purchasing, your procurement, your sales, your customer service, etc. Legacy applications are simple. These are the ones which are performing the similar kind of functions which the ERP does, but the actual function is captured in a legacy application by a user which is sitting in somewhere called Timbuktu. He uses a very antique kind of an application. We don't want to change him. We say fine, you keep using that application. It's a mainframe based application. It's a .NET based application. It's a very old one, but nevertheless it's used. So he uses an application to capture some customer data, and then he sends it via a interface. Interface, you understand very well? Okay. Via the interface, the data comes into ERP. So this means there are certain applications which are guarding the interface. They are making the interface work, right? Fair enough. Now, when you say the info from the legacy comes via interface is like a gate. The gate opens. First, it validates the data of the legacy. It knows that these are the data which comes every day. It allows the info to pass through. Interface is like a gate. But then there must be a medium through which the data is coming. That medium, guys, is called middleware. Okay, these are also governed by a set of applications. These are applications which make the data transfer possible. Okay, So what did we understand in this example? We understand legacy applications as a type. We understand middleware applications as a type. We understand interface related application as a type. We understand ERP application as a type. Got it till now? Okay. So there are different types of applications. Now you've seen each application, set of applications are performing a specific function. Good till now. Now, if you say, hey, let's look at my sales process. Somebody says not hearing properly. Mm, okay, guys, is it Anshul which has a little issue or others are okay? Okay, Saman is fine. Guys, someone else? Pravesh is okay. Hey, Anchal, if it is good with you now, I didn't change any settings to be honest. Otherwise, maybe you might do just a very quick log out and log in. I think it might get okay, unless you're feeling comfortable. Okay, guys, I want to get back to my example, please. Now, let's talk of sales process. Where does the sales process start? Hey, it starts from Timbuktu. There are a couple of customers there, right? Okay, fine. Let's start the process from there. So in Timbuktu, where one of our end users called Miss Anchal is sitting. So Anchal books an order of couple of local customers there. She doesn't want to move from legacy application, so she's sitting in one. Fair enough. Then she triggers that data. Now let's say Thomas is responsible for the middleware part. Typical example of middleware, for example, SAP provides a very strong middleware called SAP PI. This is called process integration. PI is responsible to make SAP talk to legacy applications. Let's assume that Mr. Thomas likes SAP PI a lot and he's the master of the same. Fair enough. So he's caring for the middleware part. All right. Now remember, middleware help that business process of sales by making the data of Anchal to come through an interface. At the interface, there are a couple of technical objects which are built because that's what interface is. Interface is itself a technical object. There is some kind of a .NET, Java kind of a application which have constructed that interface. So the interface is a result of programming by .NET or Java. Fair enough. So this means that interface is also party to the sales process because the data has come via interface. Then when it comes in, it drops straight into the ERP. In ERP, we have a separate module called sales and distribution, right? There the actual sales order is generated because eventually this company wants to use SAP as the final ERP. It trusts ERP. It trusts ERP, I mean, in this case being SAP, to create the sales order, to create the delivery, to it trusts that software to issue that goods from a certain warehouse. So there are people like Anchal who are sitting on the legacy system. Arpita, for example, is sitting in the warehouse. She's an SAP end user. She's sitting in the warehouse. She's using SAP software. So as the data for the customer's order booking came in via interface, via middleware, dropped into ERP, it had all the necessary ingredients for Miss Arpita to create an actual sales order in SAP. It had customers code, customers IDs, customers what the product he needs, what discount he is available at, he is applicable for, and etc. etc. So it had all the customer master data. Okay, that thanks to Miss Anchal. So Arpita created that customer sales order. Then she triggered that and confirmed the sales order. It went into delivery. At the delivery point, okay, let's assume it's a warehouse. At the delivery point, Pravesh is the end user conversant in SAP and he's responsible for making deliveries. So he's again, what is Arpita and Pravesh doing? They are using SAP applications, right? Okay, so delivery is done, but now goods needs to be issued because it has to get filled into the truck, and truck already has a defined transportation route which is again given to it by the software itself after mapping the GPS and telling him which route he has to take. But I'll tell you what, SAP software doesn't map the GPS and gives the route planning. There are some other applications which do that and provide that data input to SAP. SAP goods issue note will have that print of which route planning has to be taken by the transporter. Mr. Arora is responsible for the same. Yeah. So Savan does that and issues the goods issue receipt. So with that, the transportation truck is loaded up, and then it is proceeds towards the customer cycle. Okay, the customer site. Wonderful, guys. Thanks for being with me very patiently. Now the true mantra of the whole thing, which will demystify the biggest of technology landscapes for you. What happened? A mix of multiple applications of different types helped contributed for an end-to-end process of sales which happened to a particular customer. Did you understand the role of each application? I will never give you a better example than this if you did not understand this. Okay, in one shot, guys, I want you to get a very clear picture that how technology and process interoperates with itself. So I wanted to show you the beauty of technology applications and the process, how they together come true. Okay, so while you will attend to the customers and clients, please insist on the type of application, group of applications, what do they perform, okay, as a function, which part of business process do they help to get performed, and how it helps the business process. Once you understand the entire backend from a technology application perspective, once you understand the front end called business process, once you understand all these lists of key users sitting, Anchal, Vinay, oh Vinay, I didn't give you a role, sorry about that, Thomas, Savan, etc., Pravash, you will go and sit with all of them and you'll say, hey, Savan, tell me about the goods issue. Where did you get the input data? Did you have a problem with the interface? Did the data came in useful? And someone will tell you, for heaven's sake, guys, my life is all screwed up. I have 10 issues every day from the interface. You will say, hey, who's at the interface? Probably Vinay is sitting in the interface. You will sit with Vinay and say, guys, come here. Tell me, how does the data input happens? What is the field to field mapping? Show the templates. And then everything will come alive in front of you. And mind you, guys, we are sitting in an agile project right now where Savan, Pravash, Anjal, everybody's there. They all have their inputs, they all have their issues, they all have their what prerequisite they need for carrying their business processes the way they want to do it via their application group of things which they control. You got the application data, you got the business process data, you got the problems data, you got the user data, you got the user in front of you. You have the front end understanding of business process, you have the back end understanding of the technologies which are operating to make it come to day after day, week after week. What else do you need, guys? Make this happen and you will be like really successful. I'm not telling you a elicitation technique, I'm telling you the process framework through which you should operate. Dig into the business capability for analysis via process and technology. You will never go wrong. Okay, let me quickly. Did I see any queries here, guys? Okay, thanks, Anchal. I'm glad you guys are loving the examples. These are truly nice, and because I deal with very similar kind of work in my daily life as a business analyst, so this just makes sense to let you guys know about that. Yeah. Okay. Good. Perfect. So okay, guys, so hang on. Anchal, actually, thanks for bringing up that query because, so guys, Anchal asked me if she needs any help, in a daily walk of life, how she can reach out to me. And this is my email ID. This is for all of you. So let's say you are either working as maybe a business analyst or you're not, doesn't matter at all. Let's say you're whatever you're working on, you come across a certain situation, you want to create some kind of a thought process because you want to decipher that situation in form of requirement, you want to untangle a scenario where there are business stakeholders, you are not making head and tail about it. Trust me, I'm your guy. Okay, just make sure you put me an email, just make sure you put me a detailed explanation of what is your business scenario, where you are stuck and why. Okay, and I'll come back to you on the email for the right response. If it's an interesting proposition, I'll actually pluck it out of your email and I'll come and discuss that in the session itself as well, so that I can explore the problem and I can explore the solution within that also to all of you, while I use various aspects of business analysis so that you guys understand it in the right way. All right, is it good for you guys? Are you okay about it? Will this help you? Okay, wonderful, great. Hey guys, if you really enjoyed this example, then to can you take some more time to digest it and enjoy and relish it better? And that calls for a break. If guys are good, can we take about a 15-20 minute break? Okay, cool. So then break. What are you waiting for, man? Enjoy yourself. All right, guys, let's come back. Let's come back. Okay. Let's put the earphone around here. Okay, so Subir, yeah, there's a BA convention in Bangalore. That's it's actually on 8th and 9th. So one thing, yes, it will be definitely a very good idea for you guys to attend that. And to be very honest with you, you brought up a very good point. I was talking to the managing director of IIBA of India chapter. His name is Mehta, Ashok Mehta, I think. Yeah. So I was talking to him a couple of like 2 3 days back. I think we were discussing on how Marticus can also be one of the co-sponsors of that IIBA convention. But typically, Accenture is a very big sponsor, and Cognizant, Capgemini are also big sponsors. It will be a very good idea, Subir and others, if you are in Bangalore, yes, because one thing, it brings a lot of new perspectives about how business analysis is evolving very fast. It's a terrific event. There are multi speakers, there are many discussion forums. So even though you guys are learning about it, but the fact is your presence in there will be great because that itself will serve to be a big session for you. So while you have sessions with me, if you are planning to go, that'll be a good idea because it will be, it captures the entire, I would say, essence of what has gone by as a evolving trend in business analysis practices in last 1 year. So and they present it very well. They present it in a way in which the audience can truly understand it, absorb it, and appreciate it. So that's their best try. And I'll tell you guys, last year they got some 2.5 million responses on the Twitter. It was the top 5 trending events on Twitter. Okay, and and a lot of publicity, lot of very good. It was streamed in 93 or 123 countries across the globe. Okay, and yeah, millions of audience, virtual audience, and it was very very good there, very good there. So if possible, I think you can go. And thank you very much, Subir, for sharing it, guys. So Subir has shared the link to the event. Please ensure if sometimes during 8th and 9th you are logged on to this. I think it's a live update all the time. So whatever is the different perspective about it, you guys will be able to comprehend that. Yep, baconvention.com, IIBA workshop. Okay, perfect. Hey, thanks, Subir. Thanks, man. Okay, perfect. Coming back, guys. So I think maybe since you have, I think we discussed very well on these business capability models, but of course along with that the more important was to discuss the technology and the process integration. Okay, great. So all right, so again, coming back, business capability is like a framework, planning, scoping, outcomes, alignments, etc. But this is the front end, guys. The back end is what I told you before the break. All right, so that is what you have to care for, and that is basically all available with the clients in form of data. So you have to ask for it. Okay, and they will give you that data, and that will form your comprehensive understandings before you get into SME related discussions. Yeah. Okay, so let's devote some time here. Business capability analysis. We are saying, guys, it's a elicitation technique. Which way? Because it helps you to analyze more on, uh, you know, faster time to market, which is here in the slide called increased turnaround time. Yeah. So the turnaround times gets faster. Turnaround time for what? Basically to deliver services, to the customer. So it's like more speed to market. This capability model helps you to understand the customer service better, the framework as such, process as such. So once you have a good understanding of this capability model, so this kind of basically a business framework is something what you can ask from the customer. Typically, they all have those 9 or 10 strong horizontals, which are their capability models. So they give you those capability models, more of a documentation, very nicely done, typically captured quite vividly. So it will give you a comprehensive understanding of the same. Once you understand that, plus you understand the business problems, plus you articulate the problems back to them the way you understood it and where you think there could be a high level solution, plus leads to some kind of a requirement. So a good understanding of the capability of businesses will help you in maintaining a competitive advantage. When I say you, it basically is the client. Okay. So what I'm saying is, guys, basically, let's say you pick this up. Yeah, you pick up this business capability analysis part as probably one of your listeners of course. There is something around it. There's some prerequisite to it. You get that documentation, you understand, you discuss. What spills out or what is the outcome is typically what helps you to understand your requirements better. So while you do numbers and numbers of elicitation techniques, what you see is that eventually the objective of each is towards getting the requirements right. Okay, let's come to data mining. Data mining. Mine the data. We mine the earth, we get minerals, and we get coal, and we get all that what we need as a natural energy, right? You mine the data, you will get your coal in form of your requirements. Let's see how. So guys, basically data analysis and data mining are subsets of business intelligence. So Sawan, this answers your question. Uh, you asked me actually a subset of data analysis called financial data analysis. So data analysis is one thing, data mining is another. Both are subcomponents of BI. Okay, significantly important module for most of the clients, especially today when they are all trying to mine their existing data. And data is in plenty. Data is in plenty, but they just need the right analytical techniques to mine it, which is also not too bad because there are amazing amount of analytics tools available in the market. So they use it. So when they mine it, it's also a good thought. What is the outcome and the inference? That is what is very important. So business analysts will typically get the outcome of the mining exercise. What you need to see is the trending, the patterns which relate to their specific business processes. Okay. And from where you get a comprehensive understanding when you do that, plus with the business problems that you have understood from them. So what is the learning here? Number one, BI is the champion. Under BI, you have data analysis and you have data mining. Data mining is different from data analysis. Let's understand how. Okay. By the way, business intelligence also incorporates data for warehousing, database management, online analytical processing, also called OLAP, etc., etc. All falls into business intelligence. How does data mining help? Because it helps to improve the decision making by finding useful patterns and insights from the data which you have got. So I was just saying BA will be useful if he or she is able to read the data patterns. So you will get the outcome of data mining from the client because the data is of the client, the tool is of the client. Okay, business analysts don't carry any tools with them, by the way. Okay, typically such tools are available in the client space itself. So you use those tools. okay, or you get a ready outcome. The important part is where your wisdom comes in is before going to the mining part, you've understood their process part. Now, when they're mining the data, I don't deny that there are client SMEs also which can help to understand, which can by themselves understand the data mining. And they can relate it to the process also because they are competent to do that. But the fact is, eventually they will need a business analyst because they want to formulate requirements out of that understanding. So, guys, they have the understanding, but you are the owner of requirements. You are standing between them and their understanding and requirements. That's why they need you as a middleware. Okay, let's get to know a little bit more about it. Data mining, 3 steps. Number 1, extract data. Number 2, analyze it from multiple dimensions or multiple perspectives. Number 3, produce a summary of information in a useful, nice way which identifies relationships within the data. So let me give you a simple example. You analyze certain data, it was about sales of certain product categories across multiple segments of customers and across different global geographies. Yep. We pulled the report out of it because we want to mine it. But we won't mine it when you say step number 2. We will mine it when we will analyze it from multiple dimensions. So I have a data mining tool which basically consolidates data into very appropriate predefined template. You know what this template is like? It's basically a template with multiple columns. Column 1 is about geography. Column 2 is about product category. Column 3 is about specific product within the category for which the sales is being depicted. Product 4 is about customers. Product 5 is about their buying patterns. Column 6 is about increase or decrease, which is basically a deviation of that month's sale with the normal median sale, which has been clocked till now. So let's say you're talking about the month of August. You're doing analysis of August data. Jan to July, let's say whatever is the median, the report should have a comprehensive column which tracks the deviation from Jan July average versus August sale. So you got one column called deviation. Yeah. So what will happen is this report will consolidate similar patterns across different geographies, across different product categories, and within them across different products. So it's a very simple example. What you will see for yourself is how the trends or patterns are moving across customer segments, across different product categories, and across multiple geographies. So Europe is showing a strong trend in picking up sales via e-commerce. India is showing strong trends, positive trends in retail sales. Okay. Even though India also now shops a lot on the e-com part, but the fact is the rate of growth in India is lower and the European rate of growth on e-commerce is faster. US is showing a negative growth on the retail sales. It is showing a slow growth on the e-com. Why? Because the average median sales growth is about 6%, but this month in August it showed as 2%. It's not negative, but it is slow. Now, what is the impact of that? One, of course, it's clear that Europe is going more bullish on e-com part. US is showing slight decreasing trends on e-com part, but it is also showing negative growth on the retail part. This means overall the product categories which are listed among these readings are showing a decreasing trend of consumption. And then similarly, you can mine the data on different parameters, which will now give you an answer that why certain product categories are dipping. Maybe because of a seasonal effect, maybe because of maybe a competitive product, for example. Because you will have the data for the sales which are generated for the competitive product as well. Plus, you will have a lot of qualitative analysis which you would have done by pulling the data from the social media, where now you have a clear trending coming from what people have expressed as a clear like or dislike across multiple product customer segments. So social media is used by all, but when we draw data from social media, we mine it. When we mine it, we throw the data patterns into the kind of customers which are there. So what are the kind of customers? Obviously, one, you can segregate them by geography, you can segregate them by their lifestyle patterns, you can segregate them by their economic status. And where does this info come from? It is all available in social media. Somewhere, somehow, I have listed my gross annual income. Somewhere, somehow, I've listed my credit card spending. Somewhere, somehow, I have listed my consumption patterns. So it's all there on the net. So when the entire hub of data about me is there in social media, because I use Facebook, I use Twitter, I use LinkedIn, okay? So through various things, I have transacted, right? I use ecom, I use amazon.com, I use Flipkart. So all my centric points of my data are there. You pull that data, extract it, mine it. I'll give you another simpler example. You are all sitting today in this class because your data about you was mined. Now, Ematicus has this customer relationship management platform called LMS. Okay, so LMS is the platform through which they dig, they dive into social media. So they dived into your social media. Okay, they pay very large sum of money to Google AdWords. They pay a large sum of money to certain reporting which comes to them from the way you guys use your social media. Thanks to that information, they understood that Anchal has a certain specific educational and professional profile. She will be likely interested in some professional courses. That's where they reached out to you. Also, they analyzed Anchal's current standing, professional background, etc., and they came to a conclusion that it's possible that Anchal may look for a value add at this point of stage of her career. It made Anchal as a potential prospect for Ematicus, and that was when the 5 level of communication started with her. Or Anchal visited the website because she got influenced by a certain uh, either some kind of an advert or some kind of a view or some kind of a seminar or something which Ematicus did. Through that influence, she likely went to the website. When she went to the website, she saw through the detailings of the various courses. She expressed some kind of an interest. Even if she didn't click that button, Ematicus knew that somebody called has visited the website, but they didn't have any definite information. They got the info only when she clicked the interest button, and then, or even if didn't click the interest button, or Suchitra didn't do that, maybe we found you out through different ways, and we made a shot in the dark. Okay, that Suchitra may be interested in something. So we sent you first level of communication, then you interacted with our career counselors, then they gave you some information, then you came back with some more info. By the time it all came down to the fact that some career counselor definitely talked to you, mapped your profile, gave you a clear reason why this course is going to be helpful and help to create a value add for yourself, something which will be definitely useful for you to exploit it commercially, maybe for a role change, maybe for a seniority or something like that, because these are very relevant courses right now in the market. You are going to be certified by SAP. It carries a good brand name. Okay, it'll give you a chance. So you wanted to take the chance. You came in here. So that's also a very good example of data mining. But guys, basically remember the technologies which are to be used in data mining are basically CRM, customer relationship management. Okay, and it helps us to analyze the patterns, and the query with the customer came from customer database. I mean, you guys are very good examples of the same. So large amount of data is searched and analyzed to discover useful patterns. Ematicus, you know pays a very large sum of money to Google. You know that, right? Google, how does it make money? You thought that they created a search engine for public service? No, it's the one of the biggest money spinners ever known to mankind. If I, if Marticus wants that, if anyone called Anchal Chopra on the Google, she writes change management, which is the name which should come right at the top. The link which she is likely to click, people pay to be at the top link. So someone pays probably 10 lakhs a month to be at the top link. So that in India, anybody online searches for change management, Imartica's name should be at the top. So there were many links which came, but they were in descending hierarchy because they paid less money to Google. So Google got 10 lakhs from Imarticus every month and made sure that this particular thing came right at the top. So when you search, there are algorithms, ladies and gentlemen, which are written so that certain links of certain organizations are right at the top. So Anchal is more likely to click link number one. She finds it interesting, she's going to register. Okay, so people are profiteering a lot from data mining. I just want to give you one message, guys. Data is one of the biggest money spinners today. So whoever has got data is making money. We know very well what happened, right? When Mark Zuckerberg was called across US and European nations to question about the way Facebook sold information, right? So they, of course, it was unethical, but they did that. Now I'm going to reserve my comments about it, but I'm telling you, all what we do today on the media is all tracked. Okay, somebody somewhere is making information capsules out of us. What do we do? What do we like? What do we dislike? I'm not saying it alone. You would have seen so many videos on the YouTube which actually give very scary scenarios where every movement of us is practically watched via the media that we consume. So guys, media today is the biggest middleware, you know, towards intelligent tracking, which could be ethical or non-ethical. I'm not sure, but we are all within that umbrella. All that comes from data mining. Today, all your digital technologies are based on data mining. All the sensors which are there, which make an ecosystem very intelligent, right? Now, there are, let's take an example. There are fantastic lighting systems for household today, either which respond to your clap. So one clap, the light goes off. Two claps, light come on, and multiple situations like that. You have to just enter the room and say, lights, please. Sensor notices your voice. Your voice activates a certain impulse within the sensor because you said lights, please. In English, if you say lights, it will activate a particular pattern, even though your voice could be melodious or very hoarse. That pattern sends a specific impulse which activates the lighting systems. So this whole thing is again based on data, because the data is what in this case? Your voice is captured as a data. That data is used to trigger a certain impulse. That impulse is mapped, because you may say lights off. That's a certain different impulse. Lights on. That's a different impulse. So all that is eventually voice and recognitions, which are driven again by capturing the data. So data is important, guys. And I will also suggest that while you're running along with me, you might like to read a little bit more in details about these particular topics. Not only they are very interesting, they will give you a fundamental make up for your mindset in terms of, and you know that, right? For any topic, I think we have to read a lot in details over a consistent period of time. Please do that from now onwards for the next 3 months that we are together. By the time you come out of this course with certifications, you will also be fairly well enabled into multiple applications and technologies which are very prevalent in today. Just think about it. Tomorrow you take an interview, you are bound to be asked by certain trends like that. You start talking on data, you can talk comfortably for 10 minutes. You can relate that to business analysis. You can relate that to applications and technologies. You can relate that to the current trends. That itself will be a huge impetus to your shortlisting. I can tell you that. Trust me, I take very senior business analyst interviews specifically at certain period of time during the year. I'm not looking for very specific agenda from them. All I want to know is that they are commensurate with the latest and the greatest. They understand the business analysis perspectives, of course, on which I question them. But the fact is, eventually, the interviews are more driven by you than the interviewer. So please take a control of the interview in the beginning itself. And how do you take control? By showcasing your knowledge on particular topics which are very apt for the role that you're bidding for. You guys getting me, right? Okay, good. So just keep this trend. All right. So where are we? Coming back to the the slide as such. I think this is pretty all right. So I think so. You know what is most interesting thing about data mining? When it gives you a trend, that is the trend of the current, right? It's the current of the, for example, is the trend of the current consumption. Yeah. But there are certain things with that, which can use to predict a future behavior of the same customer segment for that particular product category, across which you have analyzed data for last 2 years. You know what? You will see a trend. You will see a trend that during July, August, a particular customer segment sales always drips down. And you will get to understand the reason because you're seeing a clear pattern. And you can forecast because the lineage of sales dipping in the last 3 years in 3 particular months is always there. It's like stamped on the product sales. You can go ahead and deliberate, strategically you can predict it for in the coming future as well. Now, this is obviously an easy example. You will see certain behaviors of purchase patterns across specific customer segments which are erratic. So that's like a business challenge for you. But something which are more there, which is more like a immediate recognition for you to see that, but then you need to see the pattern. You should be able to identify it. You should be able to read the data. And that is something which you will understand through patterns. I mean, of course, today, if I expose a certain data patterns to you, you'll be able to pick it up, of course. It's a simple pattern, right? And there's no difference except that this particular data will be related to certain specific business, certain specific industry. Okay, so, and for that, I will rely on the domain you come from. Now you understand why I said in the beginning that, guys, if you are from supply chain domain, the most apt position for you will be to shift from your current role into a business analyst role, but on the same domain. That's because data patterns, recognitions, trends, processes, centricity, essence of things, they are not related to your domain. So that is basically the way to go ahead. All right. Hang on. Sorry. Yeah. So guys, types of data mining. One is descriptive. One is predictive. I don't have to explain this meaning to you because I guess you will probably understand that very well. One gives information about existing data. The other mining type helps you to predict by making forecasts based on the current data. Descriptive type of data mining does not want to take a shot in the future. It is basically focused on the current trends because the management decision which needs to be taken is all in the current. Predictive type of mining tools are different. They are, and the simple difference, guys, it's all about what you see in the previous slide here. Analyze the data from multiple dimensions or perspectives. So descriptive type have current dimensions because the management decisions which need to be taken are about current spending, marketing spend. Predictive type analytical tools have basically different dimensions. They have more about dimensions related to a future prospect. Okay, because the decision which is needed to be taken is more about a future perspective. So the tool is different, the type is different, and the parameters are different. Okay, some more details. Okay, this descriptive and predictive is a little bit more detail in some of the slides ahead, so we will probably wait till the time we reach there. Let me check where is the detailing core concept. Oh goodness me, we have so much to do. Oops, but that is like very critically important. Yeah, what we are going to probably do in the next 1.5 hours or whatever is left, plus I think some of the time which we will need for the next Saturday as well. Okay, please come back to my slide, guys. I want to explain something to you. It's called Business Analyst Core Concept Model. Core Concept Model, CCM. Uh, Basically, it has 6 concepts, okay, and is related through a dynamic conceptual system. So for now, just understand that there are 6 core concepts which can be applied by you to any business scenario. So this means a business analyst carries a CCM model in his pocket or her pocket all the time. Now, all these concepts are important and necessary. Okay, there is no primary concept, there is no secondary concept. All of them are core. All right. So it becomes very simple, guys. You can't be restricted to understanding 1 or 2 or 3 concepts. You have to understand all, because till you understand all of them, you can't apply the CCM model to the various situations that you might be in. Okay. Hey, just give me a sec here, please. Just give me a sec. Hey guys, sorry, I'm back. uh, I had to get up because I had to answer a door. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, by the way, I hope you realize that we have finished the elicitation techniques. Yeah. So thank the Lord, we are out of the elicitation zone. I was like getting really a little tired of it. Okay, and I think, but we covered a very large number of elicitation techniques. I think you will be good with this. Okay. All right. So, okay. So what is the CCM model about? Why do we need this model? So guys, it is basically to understand six models. You remember in business canvas model, we understood the 9 fundamental building blocks of any client, any business, right? Typically resourcing, partners, vendors, blah, blah, blah. Similarly, of course, that was one elicitation technique. This is a model which has six basic areas which you need to understand for again every client. And this is not one technique. It is more important for a generic access to a better information so that you can make more meaningful outputs from yourself. Okay. Why do we need a CCM? Listen, guys, we need a CCM because when you are tomorrow the business analyst, right, you'll be faced with certain questions. These are questions like what are the desired changes? Yeah. What are the changes? What are the changes that we want, we desire to bring in? Yep. What solutions are we addressing? After all, I understand that you come more to face the problem zone of the business. But eventually, the problem zone, if again you look at the left hand side of it, you find that as a problem statement. You look at it from a right hand perspective, you feel there is more of a solution that you guys want. So, if you have this question, what are the solution that are being going to be addressed? Then simple question, hey, what is the context for this is going to work out? Now I'm asking you as a BA, you are onto certain projects, I'm asking you questions, what value are you delivering? Okay. Or I'll say, hey Ritika, which stakeholders are involved? If I say, what needs are we trying to meet? Now do you agree and appreciate that these are those questions which will come and hit all of you every time? So these are standard good questions. So this means they will deserve a certain good answers for it, right? For the answers for any business scenario, any industry, any client that you may be in, let's look at the left hand side. So first of all, guys, I want you to understand from me every component of it. What's the change? Let's understand a little bit more on it. Changes could be significant. It would, for example, entail purchasing a software, making any operational change, building up a technical skill, transition to a new software. All these are the highlights of any change. So what's the point here? In CCM model, changes are very important. Need. I'm giving you a holistic understanding of the component of this model. Need so a sponsor is concerned about a constant competition faced from its competitors. Needs immediate solution. So apart from that solution, he needs guidance on making the business go further. Okay, it's the need. So I'm just giving you a business context of need, change, etc. Of course, these are look more like an example, but I think examples are better off than giving a definition. Okay. All right, let's come down. Let's come down. So, guys, by the way, I'm going anti-clockwise. Okay, because while going anti-clockwise, I want to arrive at the solution in the last. Then come stakeholders. Includes all customers, merchandisers, distributors, business owners, staff, end users, blah, 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 everybody. Every single person who's affected with this, whether he's sitting here or is sitting in South Korea. Oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to in North Korea, is a stakeholder. Okay. See what is happening. Started from change, came down to need, converged on stakeholders, and then came down to the best thing known to mankind, value. Value is basically the element which is of most important thing. Solution should deliver value to the stakeholder. Since it entails some cost, it must have a value. Value should be more than cost so that your business case becomes positive. Okay. Then comes the context. Context would always be a priority for stakeholder. In which context are we discussing this requirement? Since the company operates in multiple locations, the decision makers and strategists have to undertake the legal and other local concerns into consideration. Yep. So guys, what I'm trying to bring here is a very important point. One of the very instrumentally important point is the context here. I've seen business cases gone wrong or right depending on how the context in which they are being discussed is articulated, presented, explored in detail with stakeholders. Context is very important. Many times, so if I have painted the picture of stakeholders as extremely significantly intelligent human beings, I may be wrong many times. So guys, many times you have to you have to remind the stakeholders about the context you're talking about. They seem to be sometimes mighty forgetful guys. Yeah. So refreshing the context of a particular business ecosystem, of a particular process, of any kind of an underlying business problem, complete and replete with the illustration technique that you are using, all this framework basically is the context on which you are developing and evolving the problem statement from just a statement into a description, from a description to a detailing, from a detailing into and its integration of that problem area into process and technology. From there you evolve it into some kind of a high level perspective, multiple uh, solution, from where it goes into iteration. From the iteration emerges some shortlisting of particular 2 3 maybe solution perspectives. You discuss that with IT teams. They give you more feasible input in terms of its optimization in at the rate IT development. Okay, something like that. You bring it back. That helps the stakeholders to choose one particular solution. You get that. Your requirement is fine. Your solution, high level solution, is also done. So this is the journey which you have to follow for every situation. And in that, context is important because context is something which refreshes or relives through the same thing, but helps to evolve it in more and more and more. And trust me, your business stakeholders need that. Sometimes I end up muttering under my breath that what kind of dunks are these guys, man? I mean, yesterday we were discussing, and today they are again asking for context. But the fact is, please have some patience. They are very busy guys. They are very, blah blah blah. So you just need to. And to be honest, forget about all that. Let me tell you, a business analyst is paid to do all that. Okay, so just sit tight, have patience, and just continue with them. Okay, so ultimately, at the end of this cycle, solutions. Okay, after doing your role, the business analyst, you know, will suggest some kind of analytics as a viable solution. So it's just one particular example of an outcome which might go that way. But guys, CCM model gives you the journey plan or the roadmap with which you will go through this cycle. I believe so that it doesn't give you any specific pointer. It's more of a generic roadmap, but it gives us a very important thing. Whatever is the business situation, whatever is the ecosystem you are in, you need to follow these 6 cycles for sure. Whether you get enough info about a need, about a change, about from stakeholders, about the value, whether it could be less, medium, high, but you need to take this cycle through every requirement perspective that you are trying to explore with your stakeholders. If you do so, you will get answers to the questions on the right. What are the desired changes? Yep, in which will come from the change perspective, from the change box. What solutions are we addressing will come from the solution box. Context will come from context box. Value will come from value box. So eventually, if you rerun the solution continuously with these cyclic, what are we called, cyclic rules, you will be coming to that the clarity well enough. So I'll give you an example, Savan, to clarify the difference between need and context. There is a need for a client to have a global template. What is a global template? Well, the client is operating in 10 different countries. That's all. And all countries follow a separate way of doing business. The product is the same. Let's say they sell lollipops, okay, in 10 countries. They're into confectionery industry, fair enough. But India business sells lollipops through a different way. And what is that? They sell only through retail channels. Taiwan is the other country where the change, the distribution channel is only, let's say, wholesale. They don't do retail. Now, there could be some reasons behind it. Well, maybe that's the local geography. Maybe because we don't need to advertise too much for the wholesale channels. We just need to push the products in massive quantities through trade discounts. Example, just an example. So maybe Taiwan operates that way. India is a more country of much more diversity. Okay, so here the retail channel is very important because the retail channel caters to the local geography and cultural perspectives quite well. Just a retail point, dispensing point, right? So it's okay for whatever reason, and that is good. So now the way this business process is captured in the systems of different countries. So India has, say, let's say, one server, one production server. All business transactions go there. So when I conduct a business transactions in India, it is only through the retail channel. This means my production system is configured only via retail channel. So the generic part is manufacturing plant, distribution, warehousing. From warehousing, the dispatch to the customers. In the country of India, multiple the customer database could be like millions, right? Because I've got a million retail points. So how they are serviced via warehouses, which are central warehouses, and then local warehouses. So all that process is configured. So India goes via plant, plant to central warehouse to local warehouse to multiple, dispatches to millions of customers. So the database size is very large, etc., etc. Taiwan is different. The production system is different. It's configured only from plant to warehouse. Warehouse is only the central warehouse, no local warehouse, because from central warehouse we can make, very big quantities dispatched straight to the wholesale channel. And in wholesale channel we have limited select customers. They sell 10 million lollipops in a year. In India, it's more complicated. Wholesale channels don't buy our lollipops, but we have about a million retail counters which sell 10 lollipops each. That way we clock 10 million lollipop sales. So frankly, in terms of quantity, there's no difference. But in terms of business case, there's a hell of a lot of difference. I am using massive trade discounts to push my inventory in Taiwan. So it's eating into my profit margins. In India, I don't have to give any retail discounts, but I have to spend a lot of money on advertisements to create a product pull. So I have to advertise the lollipop a lot. The point here is, which is a more feasible long-term game plan, which is helping to build my product, my brand, my equity, etc. I don't need a super brainer to answer this. Obviously, it is the retail channel. Because the more you create a pull effect for your product from the customer, the more successful you are as a marketing company. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, when the businesses could be so different, in that way, Savan, you have to bring the context alive. Then now, if you look at the left, you said need of the stake sponsor here is that I face a constant competition. I need to fix that problem. I need to improve my profit margins. So frankly, whether it is India or Taiwan, the context doesn't much come into place. The idea is to improve the profit margin. I may use any damn technique to do that. Sponsor is satisfied? Maybe yes. But the story isn't finished there. After I went through the cycle from the left, after need I came to stakeholder I came to value, from value I came to context. I have to apply context in every business problems. Right now, when me and you are discussing this present problem, we have to bring the context, and context brings the legal and local cultural issues into the consideration. So now, thanks to certain localized mechanisms, I push the product only through wholesale channels in Taiwan. This context has to come alive in your requirement discussions or any discussion with stakeholders, because your entire business phenomena is based on that context. If I ignore context, trust me, Savan, you know, right? We won't be able to arrive at any solution. So we need to go into depth, and the depth for anything is bought out more by a context rather than by a need. So the short answer to your query is, need is at a higher level, context is at a lower level, maybe at a more detailed level. I could have probably said the same thing just as a one-liner answer, but then it wouldn't have remained with you. That's why this example. Okay. All right, let's step up the game, guys. Say, what do you do in a CCM model, man? Well, I just said apply the CCM model to your business analysis, and your business analysis is right in front of you on the slide. It's the same, probably the same model which I showed you even 3 sessions back. So here, requirement elicitation, strategy analysis, we have done that, right? Requirement analysis and design definition, requirements, life cycle management, and then eventually you come down to something called solution, you evaluate it, which we are yet to do in the next sessions, yeah? So it's a regular thing what you have already understood. Couple of units that we have done are dedicated to each one of these boxes. Okay, so this slide only means you need to apply CCM in all these 6 processes. So elicitation is a process. Let's call it a process for now. Strategy analysis is a process, for example. So while you do all these process, keep the 6 components of CCM into your mind and try to apply them, because I need an answer for each one of you when you will design your case study a couple of weeks from now. I want to see the CCM model applied in your business scenario. Okay. Okay, let's understand a little bit more about the core complex model. I said there are 3 things. In fact, there are 6, 3 on this slide, sorry, and 3 in the next. Need, it's a problem, opportunity, constraint, etc., etc. Yep. Solution is how we are addressing that need. Change is something which we need to successfully address the problems, either of the stakeholder, user, etc. Now, please look here. The need example is the need for automations in sales and customer service process. That's a need which will come from the sponsor. That, hey, Mr. BA, I need to automate my sales and customer service process. Please understand which are the components today which are more done manually. Find a way to automate them. Automation will again need all that what we discussed earlier. It will need interfaces, it will need technology, applications, middlewares, etc., etc., etc. So that's fine. It is the how to part. But the example of need in a particular scenario is need for automation. Then you said solution. So you said, for example, that it's a way to address, all right. So implementing a software as a solution, SaaS model, implementing a SaaS CRM model rather than a COTS model can be a good example for your eventual solution. So you were given a business problem, okay, and then the arguments from some stakeholder was that we can go for a commercial off-the-shelf kind of a product, ready-made, packaged, vanilla technology platform. We use it, we are cool, yeah. But then we realize, and something, for example, for Ematicus could have used a specific vanilla software for doing its customer relationship practice. But they didn't do that. They went for the LMS, which is also called the LearnTron. So LearnTron is a software which was implemented. Of course, it is not cloud-based. It's moved into cloud now. I think, yes. So I think LMS is more cloud-based now. So it's more like a SaaS CRM solution. So you understand, right, that there are two ways you can make the solution sit in a client's landscape. It could be cloud-based, it could be premise-based. Premise is your local hardware, which is a server. So we configure the processes using the software which is installed in the server. You will say, my solution is on premise. What is on premise? Well, my customer is in Calcutta. So there's a server there. The local server is based out of that Calcutta customer point. Everybody accesses that server, either via LAN or via the net. Fine, I have an on-premise solution. If you have a software which is sitting on the cloud, which means, well, you know what cloud is, right? It's just probably an infrastructure which is used by multiple people just to optimize the usage of that particular thing. So let's say one of the SaaS solutions. Let's call it, for example, Success Factors. Success Factors is a software. It's a software to give you HR related solutions. It's a solution which is it has come from SAP, but this solution is not on premise. This solution is more acceptable in the cloud. Why? SAP noticed that medium sized companies need HR solutions, but they don't want to spend more. Their typical budgets are maybe between 25 to 35 lakhs. So what they do is that they created a solution which can sit in the cloud. Then they come to company which is run by Dizen or Ritika. They say, hey, you want to buy this software solution? Ritika says, yes, I'm looking for a HR solution for my company, but I don't have much budget. They say, okay, you use this solution and pay as per use. So guys, one of the biggest commercial advantage of a cloud-based solution is that Ritika can pay as she uses. What does that mean? It means Ritika will buy 5 licenses. She will give 5 login IDs to 5 of her HR people. One person is, no, 2 people are responsible for payroll processing. So they will have the login IDs to log into the payroll software module, which is sitting in the cloud. So they will run payroll for the 50 people which work for Ritika in her company. One person will get a license for logging into the module of training and enablement. It is also a HR module. So that person will use that software to, and input, various aspects about their customers, about the employees, 50 of them, so that their training needs can be assessed. right? And their enablement can be done better. So this is how Ritika will buy a cloud-based solution. So she will get licenses. She will use only 5 licenses. The licenses will use a certain usage. She will pay for that use. That's all. Whereas in a COTS product, Ritika will have to buy a vanilla product from the market. She will implement that into her server. Once the solution is configured, Ritika probably may not follow the same practice, but is going to be probably followed by the rest of the industry in general. So the vanilla solution doesn't really fit into any client. It fits to the extent of maybe 50%, 40%, 60%, but the rest is the local customization which is needs to be done because Ritika's company is very different from anybody else. So she will say, guys, I have installed the software. It is vanilla. It has got standard process. Now let me tailor those processes. So she will need a IT team, maybe an internal IT team, which will help to configure those processes in a more localized way. That is COTS. So in this case, the solution model which you decided was looking at the appetite of Ritika, looking at her need, looking at her budgets, looking at her core business needs. She actually needs only pay per use. So let us give her only a cloud-based solution. Okay. So that is how the solution evolved for her. Okay. So need is done, solution is done. Let's look at change. Okay, while we read the definition of change, I think we understand that already very well. It's the effort which you need to put in to make sure that the organization has adapted to the change because you brought them from an unimplemented state into a transformed state. So the explanation underneath is the so-called change refers to the fact that a solution implemented may need a mindset change. So guys, remember, fundamental rule which I told you at the beginning of the session: process, tool and technology, people are 3 different aspects of a triangle. That's a triangle which you have to address every client you go to. So if you have tinkering with the process, automatically there will be a default tinkering with the technology. Automatically there will be a change on the people side. Please, for heaven's sake, address all the 3. So look at this. If you realize by now, guys, that this whole slide is talking about a single solution. You went to a single client. The sponsor talk about automation in sales and customer service processes. The solution was a cloud-based SaaS solution, and now that thing is it has already changed the solution, the operations from manual to automation. But the fact is, you need to change the people now as well because they have shifted from a manual system to an automated system. Okay. Now let's check on the other 3 parameters. Are they there or they are no? They are ahead. Okay. So this need, solution and change also is probably going into some details, guys. I think this is probably one of the same thing. Yeah, it just brings a small example for you. We just discussed the SaaS versus COTS. For Ritika's company, SaaS is more acceptable, but it may not be true for any other company or any other organization because for the simple reason that other companies may or may not have very customized processes. If they have a standard process, COTS works best for them. If they have a commercial problem, SaaS works best for them. So it all depends because today technology comes with multiple answers. It depends which technology is applicable to whom, depending on what are their business issues. Mm, okay, this is a little bit in detail what we saw 2 slides back. On the solution part, which is the main more to do with the value part, let me just read it. Solution need to provide value. If the solutions don't provide value, they have not met the need. Okay, very simple. 2 statements interlinked with each other. B, business analysis is all about delivering value. Value is seen as a potential return of investments. Value is an anticipated outcome of the implementing the solution. Value can be tangible, which means in dollar terms, or it can be intangible. Something which doesn't give you an instant dollar returns, but it helps to build your brand over a period of time. You just said, right, I have automated my customer support services. Fair enough. You spend a cost on it. Very good. How will that help? It will help to deliver services to your customer faster. So what? Well, customer will be impressed. So what? Well, over a period of time, this impression will be conveyed to the market. So what? More customers will become, sorry, more people will become your customers. That will eventually lead to an increased market share. So in the beginning, that value is a bit intangible because you don't know whether faster services to the customer will actually help them to convert from other companies into our company's favor. So if you read below, what did you just did? You said I implemented a CRM solution which will definitely help to improve customer service. Okay, read the line below. Increase in revenue may be or shall be a logical subsequence of it. It is also a shooting in the dark. So it's not forecasting clearly, but the fact is it's intangible for now, but as we have seen, it turns out into a tangible value over a period of time. So while you use the score concept model, you need to explain like this. When you say I explain the need, I explain the context, I explain the value or the solution. This is typically how you will build the context for everything. So we are continuing with the same example, by the way, what you saw in the 3 slides back. This slide is talking about stakeholders. I think you understand stakeholders very well anyways. But just to show you in the example, in the CRM solution, the stakeholders can likely be finance or customer service manager. Why? Customer service manager, because the 5 licenses that we are going to buy are for customer service operators. Those operators sit in the department led by this particular customer service manager. So your first level of stakeholder is going to be this particular person, service manager, because he will explain the customer service processes that he has today. And obviously, he's facing the brunt of competition. That's why our market share is not going high. That was what was discussed, and that's why the sponsor brought this pain point to you, that my customer relationship management engine sucks. Okay, and I want you to automate that so that I can deliver my values faster. Now you, the sponsor, is convinced that what value they bring out of customer service is great, but just that it's very slow to operate, and hence he wants that automation. I think you need to just read this slide, guys. There's nothing much to explain here, but it is building that that it is building each concept a little ahead. Hmm. It is just making the example a little more live. Need. Sponsor is concerned about losing market share. See, it's going into depth. One of the problems that contributes to this loss is the limited information provided by set of reports he or she receives. That is the bane of the problem. So the need is the limited order information which is inhibiting the sponsor's ability to make a better buying decision. So very simple, lack of info, hence lack of a good report. Lack of a good report, management can't take better decisions. That's the core problem. Now, Mr. BA or Miss BA comes in, does an analysis, makes a business case, and recommends a commercial business analytics software. Okay. Now, this is a complex solution. It will involve multiple projects addressing such things as processes, software, technology, etc., etc. Fair enough. Because the BA has recommended a very wide solution, the changes will also be significant. So this means the analysis of the current state and definition of the future state, just as is and to be, has to be done in a very detailed way. Some of the changes which are being thought of in this particular case is designing new process, purchasing new software, modifying data structures. All these are requirements, yeah, in the existing interfacing applications, plus capturing new data, plus building technical ways to transition to a more additional new software, blah blah blah. So it's an example, guys, where multiple big changes are recommended, but the fact is that they are there, so they are there. That's why they are captured under the change example. Any questions at any time are welcome. For the same example, guys, these are your stakeholders. Please take a minute to uh, look at each of them and assess for yourself how you would have dealt with each one of them if you were the BA in this example. Just take a minute. Okay, guys. So in this case, the stakeholders were merchandisers, advertisers, distribution centers, specialists, retail personnel, vendors, etc., etc. Now it's very simple. It's all about the customer service. Now, though they didn't mention the product, but something like a product which goes to a retail store as well. So the customer relationship operator interacts with the retail store personnel as well. Okay, and of course, since it's a product-based company, there is a sufficient amount of advertisements, merchandising, etc., which is happening as well. So the idea is that as a business analyst, you may have to interact with them. This is an idea which you did not have the diversity of the stakeholders before you saw the earlier slides. Because there, eventually, you were relegated to the discussion on the need and the context, and of course, the solution. But in terms of branching out into the diversity of stakeholders, you may have to be with all of them because, for the simple reason that all of them will be affected once your process of customer service moves from the manual into an automated part. See, your customer service specialist will be impacted because now he has to operate the automated system. Because your speed to market has increased, this has impacted the parameters where your merchandiser and advertisers have to rethink their marketing plans. Distribution centers or the central or local warehouses will get impacted because of the speed of market is different now, and hence the product movement within the supply chain will be different. Yeah. So this is how you will build component after component and eventually move into a solution and its validation. So guys, again the simple golden mantra. No business analysis is very complex. It all incorporates the basic building blocks. If you have understood it from a need, from a change, from a context perspective, any problem is decipherable. Okay. Okay, now we are coming to the next sliders. Guys, I'm proposing about a 3 to 4 minutes kind of a bio break. Acceptable? All right. Hey guys, okay. Where are we at the value? So value is again talking about cost benefit analysis. Costs are high. This I think we have a small discussion earlier, guys. I mean, initially costs are high. Maybe the organization takes some time to reap the benefits out of the same. So several solution performance measures are identified during solution evaluation to realize the value. Solution performance measure. Wherever you see the word measure, please understand that it is essentially something called key performance indicator or KPIs. So solution will work, but how do you monitor? You said we did a COTS implementation or we did a SaaS implementation. We got the solution of customer service automated, okay, but how do you monitor that the solution is now bringing you the value? So to monitor that, remember one of your key requirements will be to bring in the key performance indicators. So for example, in this case, because it's a customer relationship management engine, so maybe customer satisfaction at the services delivered. So every quarter you have a customer service, oh sorry, customer survey. And then on a 5-point scale, you monitor that what is your rating, which is going up or down or whatever. Typically you assume that it's now automated, faster speed of market, faster services, happier customers. So what I'm saying is that for any solution performance to be evaluated, you need to keep certain measurements or KPIs. See, it it looks like a requirement to your no, but in order to cover the solution aspects comprehensively, you should input this. Whether your stakeholder asks for it or no, I don't care. I'm not sure whether they will ask for it, but there's some smart cookies going to ask you, hey, how do we intend to measure the performance of this wonderful automated SaaS solution that you inputted? That's where the KPIs will come in handy. KPIs are anyways a big word in itself. So just for your information, guys, every industry has KPIs published. So let's say you're talking about utility industry, you're talking about consumer industry, you're talking about network and communication industry. Each of them has a very large list of KPIs. Just giving you for your information that at any point of time, if you need the KPIs, the journal public domain, which is of course nothing else but Google, will have an ample description, detailings of KPIs which are there. So let's say for supply chain, there are KPIs which start right from plant dispatch to the customer services imparted in terms of deliveries from the warehouses, etc. So every movement is controlled by a KPI. These KPIs are configured in the system also, so that the system can itself track that the automation that is being now provided as an input functionality to the user, how far it is receiving its feedbacks. Okay, so we did the first three parts of CCM model through that automation example. Let's continue now to the next three. Okay, context. It's a complex project. As I said, it's rolling out across multiple countries. So the context has to be considered. Why? India, Taiwan, everyone has its own localization laws, regulations. Okay, so the various national cultures will affect the development of the solution. Okay, example, employees tends to be casual and buyers more goal driven and direct. It's a context. In Taiwan, for example, buyers are more goal driven, but the fact is your employees are tending to be more casual. It's a localization problem. It's a local problem. But since it is emerging its nasty head, hence you need to spruce up the context of the problem so that you can address it. You can't address the problem unless you don't know the context of it. Well, for example, that a particular country is supposed to be a lazy country. Well, for heaven's sake, man, we are talking about Bahamas. It's a beach country. Who wouldn't be lazy about it? Yeah, but that affects the sales of your products there. So you need to set that, because Your global template composition of your solution addresses a common features which are to be implemented for each country. Then plus plus on top of it, you will address the localizations as well. So where are we, guys? Hence, context is important. Okay. You would have obviously heard about this usage of this word perspectives. I want you to, at this point of time, I'm just taking a little break from CCM model, because in any case, perspectives lead us back to CCM model. Okay. So guys, we are talking about something called perspectives in business analysis. Okay. Just to give you a definition, it's basically those areas which need to be addressed. Okay. uh, each perspective provides how business analysis work is completed and its unique characteristics on the project happens. Perspective describes a specialized way that business analysts provide value to enterprise, blah blah blah. Okay, forget about the definition, let's go to some good examples. Okay, before we come to examples, man, I have to cover certain context. I'm sorry, I have to cover certain theoretical propositions as a mandate, because you otherwise won't understand the examples very well. Never mind, let's step into it. Okay, perspectives are important because they connect the Bible to your business analysis in practice. So, guys, this is the biggest strength of perspectives. They connect the theoretical Bible called Babok to your actual day-to-day business analysis practice. Second box says, makes the theoretical framework of Babok guide applicable to the day-to-day practice of your analysis. Third box says, the structure of the perspective helps a business analyst understand how to focus analysis activities within the context. That is what is so important. We were just discussing context, right? That's how the perspectives popped up, because the perspectives help to focus, help to understand how to focus the analysis activities within context. What is context? So someone said, hey, that's the localizations. So I said, fine. There are two parts of the project. One is the global template, which will be applicable to all countries. Second is the plus plus model, which is an additional template you are bringing in for Taiwan, India, blah, 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 because they have localization rules and regulations. Now, I need to educate you on perspectives, because you are looking for requirements in the global template, you are looking for requirements in the local template. In the local templates, your requirements will come out more clearly if you apply perspectives. So, in short, perspectives is a formula which you need to apply, or which you need to treat the local requirements with. Okay, ground rule horizontally at the bottom of the slide. The requirements must be effective in any context. Fair enough, we agree. But for that, business analysts must be knowledgeable of the characteristics, competencies required for them to operate in that model, methodologies and knowledge areas of the business analysis when operating in a single or a combination of business analysis perspectives. So this means, so guys, I'm opening up the front for you. Perspectives also have methodologies and knowledge areas. Now you are saying that right now we are sitting within the context of a local geography, and to analyze the requirements there we need perspectives. So I'm saying fine, I'll give you the knowledge of perspectives, but it comes with its own methodologies, knowledge areas, etc. So those implications about the perspectives need to be learned by you in order to deliver requirements for the context. Yep. Oh, cool. Look at these guys. Well, these make a lot of sense, don't they? Agile is a perspective. Business intelligence is a perspective. IT, information technology, is a perspective. Business architecture is a perspective. Business process management is a perspective. 5 perspectives, all in all. Some projects will have one, two, three, or all applicable to them. Okay, so keep your minds all open for this. Especially, guys, why I build these perspectives, not because Babok tells me, I mean, they told me to build it up for you. The other part was, perspectives are very important from a more contemporary requirement analysis. So if you give me just about a movement of your mindset, BI, agile, IT, business architectures, yep, these are all part and parcels of your modern day requirement analysis. So what I'm trying to bring here is, in the modern projects now, additional help was needed to explore requirements. And okay, requirement elicitation techniques are a medium. You can use 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 40 different elicitation techniques in different stages of the project, with different stakeholders, with different department divisions, etc. That's a medium. But conventional perspectives is obviously not enough. Why? Because today's projects have moved into analytics, and analytics is inherently linked to BI. That's why the BI part came in. Today, inherently, projects have moved into an agile mode. 40% of the projects today are implemented in agile methodology. This means it was agile was more than just a methodology. It was now applicable to 50% of the projects. That's why agile as a perspective came into business analysis. Third thing, the business architecture keeps changing. It's a dynamic proposition. Yep. So in any case, it was always supposed to be there. It was always supposed to be part and parcel of whether you live in 1947 or 2080. So anyway, it is always there. Business process management is something which came in, more, which came in more into context some time back. Yep. Business process management relates to an entire repository of the business processes which you collect, collate, arrange that, and then you create a management framework of how those processes should be managed. So give you an example. You remember we talked about business KPIs. So you said, hey, I need to know the business process which we are going to implement, how effective it's going to be. Yeah, how much of value is going to deliver to me. I said, okay, what I will give you is 5 benchmarks, 5 parameters. Let's rate the efficiency of this process over these parameters over a period of time. We'll get to know whether it is on that side of the river or this side of the river. So in inputting business KPIs on the business process to monitor its performance is part of your BPM exercise, because you are managing the process, right? So business process management means you manage your process, but how you monitor it, you track its effectiveness, you put benchmarks on it, you upscale the process with the changing conditions, and all that kind of things drop into your business process management as a practice. So guys, is everybody clear on the applicability of these perspectives into most of your projects? Okay, because they will be applicable. None of you is going to enter any conventional projects anymore because the landscapes have changed too much. Too much they have evolved over the last 5 years. So when you go in, either you're going to hit agile and BI, either IT is anyway too common. It's going to be there in 95% of the project, maybe. Business architecture and BPM is also going to be there around pretty much because today's customer or client is going to demand that anyways. In the business analysis practice and approach, guys, these perspectives are. So these are important for you, and so let's understand them. Oh, okay. Now you see the reasons also, guys. Industry is demanding. So, guys, when you enter the projects, remember this is what they are going to demand from you. One, process improvement skills. Okay, this slide is very important. Second, greater focus on change management. This means the people aspect. Okay. Third is strategic thinking because they want you to align the changes to meet their business goals. Yep. And the fourth thing is integration with the agile software development method. This is also pretty much unmistakable, guys. Okay. So, I'm sorry, I got a little running nose. Okay. So these things are going to hit you right in the beginning. If you look at this slide, you will start drawing certain relevance to what we have spoken earlier. Remember, um, we talked about this process, tool and technology, and people aspect, right? This slide basically is talking something about that. If you see process improvement skills, that is basically related to your process part. If you see change management skills, they are related to your people part. If you look at integration with agile software development methods, etc., it's again related to your process because the process has moved from waterfall to agile. Okay. And if you think of the strategic thinking, etc., this is more related to actually somewhere in the on the tools and technology section. Because honestly, if you want to align the what you want to do as a transformation project, sorry, for the client, okay, you want to align that with their business goals, you need to obviously have the right technology and tools which will help you to drive that. So this slide is talking about the same three triangles, corners of the triangle. Okay, I think there was a query from Arpita. Arpita, did you ask about something on business architecture, right? I'm sorry if I didn't explain that. Let's go into it. So IT is done, BI is done, Agile, BPM, right? Okay, architecture. Okay, guys. Business architecture is again, just like everything else, it's also an analysis and design of pure business strategies, pure business capabilities, pure business processes. Yeah. So as a discipline, it has a very wide scope because it branches out into multiple areas. So business architecture has been used, by many clients in the recent past, but it all depends on the need, guys. Yeah, because see, what happens is that business architecture serves a good purpose, okay, but provided it aligns to the organization. Because business architecture about any client. So let's say, hey, what is the business architecture about? Let's say Procter and Gamble. It will basically reveal how the organization is structured and how clearly we can demonstrate how the elements like its business capability, business process, business organization, everything fits together. Yeah. So the relationship among the various elements within Procter and Gamble, it dictates and specifies how the organization will react, behave, or how what it needs to do to meet its common objective. Yeah. This is what is true about business architecture. So while business process management wholly and solely focuses on the business process part, architecture focuses on everything: organization, its structure, its capability, and the information needs that it has. Fit it together into one composite module, and that will tell you the relationship between these different 4 5 elements, and it will dictate what the organization is going to likely benefit from. That is the business architecture. In short, Arpita and everybody, it is basically how the business is structured. So its business capability, its business goals, objectives, achievements, including its fundamental capability. So business capability plus organization, marry them together, you got a business architecture for yourself. Does it make it clear? Okay, cool. Okay, so this slide we did. Okay, that's good. All right, let's dip into perspective number 1, agile. I think to some extent, most of you are familiar with some part of it. Let's see more. So now, guys, I'm not talking agile methodology. First of all, okay, because we already have a fair amount of background built over a couple of sessions back during introductions and later. Plus, we are going to do anyway a separate module on agile after we finish business analysis. Okay, so let's take a shot at agile as a perspective. Okay, what's point number 1? Recognize the features of agile perspective, which means recognize the need of why agile methodologies may be applicable for this client. Second, identify features of agile project that impact business analysis activity. So once you are certain, when you have crossed milestone number 1, that agile is applicable, you need to identify the features, that will impact the BA activities. Hey, hang on, man, it's agile. So you are not going to get the requirements you're going to get via the waterfall model. It's going to be all user stories for you. So identify which part of the project which will impact my performance. So suppose you are into a project which is going to design a new cell phone. Yeah. So cell phone, let's say, have different features and characteristics. So it's going to be the outer one, outer design, inner design, etc., etc. To identify the features where the user stories are going to be coming from various different needs and requirements of developing a new cell phone, because you need to map that vis-a-vis your BA activities. You got BA activities, right? 6 BA activities, which we saw in those blue triangles, blue rectangles, right? About, let's say, 7, 8, 10 slides back. Enterprise analysis, requirement management, solution validations, etc. So identify what are the features of this particular agile project which will impact them. Number 2. 3, identify the competencies of an agile business analyst. So guys, a business analyst in a non-agile project, a business analyst in an agile project, they are a bit different from each other. Okay, the difference is only because the BA for the agile project needs to be as agile as the project is, which means, again, a very simple difference. The BA for agile projects needs to be collaborative, cross-functional, so that he can, one side he can work with users and product owner, on the other side he can work with testers, on the third side he can work with the, let's say, the technical teams. Okay, because if you remember, what we saw in agile is that business analysis build up of the functionality in terms of maybe programming, testing, various other activities. They all go hand in hand with each other. Okay, so this means that in short, the business analyst for agile project has to be a multitasker for sure, because out of the 9-hour day, 3 hours he will devote with users and product owner to discuss the requirement. 2 hours he will devote with testers to frame the test plan, point out the right business processes which need to be tested, and recommend the the testing KPIs which needs to be met before the testing goes into UAT. He needs to devote 1 hour with the programming team or technical team just to give them a repetitive walkthrough. What is the core essence of that particular requirement, so that they understand all dimensions of it, because their code or maybe a configuration needs to achieve all those business centric dimensions. Okay, so that's the third point, competencies part. Fourth is basically demonstration of understanding of how business analysis is impacted when using an agile development method. So now you are in agile mode, so the software development lifecycle is follow the agile terminology. In that case, how your business analysis may be impacted, and you know what, it's a bloody hell of an impact. Ask me how. We picked up agile, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a particular project which is very prone to requirement changes. So we said, oh, no, 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 we are not going to touch waterfall, we're going to take up agile. Why? Because agile allows us the flexibility to keep changing the requirements without impacting too much of a timeline, schedule, delivery, etc. That's why it's called agile, right? And how is that possible, sir? That's possible because we don't carry a big requirement with ourselves, because we know the threats that will undergo change. So step number one, we break down a large requirement into 5 small requirements. We pick and choose each smaller requirements individually, and then we develop it accordingly. This first of all reduces our risk by more than 80%, because we broke the larger requirement into 5 different pieces. So we broke the total requirement risk into 20%, 20%, 20%, 5 times. If we pick up one requirement to build up out of those 5, we are carrying a risk of only 20% in case the requirement undergoes change. That's what is the fundamental efficiency of agile comes from. You reduce the risk, and you chose agile because you knew in this project it is going to be a tremendous change of requirements, because we are in a very dynamic flux of business scenarios. That is why, guys, the agile perspective is important. So when you say, I want to build a perspective of agile in our project, it will be necessary, because these 4 points will be very applicable. And if you have already, so this slide will come in handy when you're already into an agile methodology. But then you as a BA, your credit worthiness will come in if you will demonstrate these 4 boxes for your project. And what is that? Number 1, recognize the feature of the agile perspective. Number 2, identify the features of the agile projects which will impact your BA activities. Grow further. You will identify competencies of the business analyst required in these cases, because eventually it's about your own fitment. And the fourth thing is, you need to demonstrate how your business analysis is impacted because of this. You can take this live example of this project. Okay, so this is how, guys, the agile perspectives are useful. And if you have realized one thing, okay, every slide is building up, your business analysis activity one by one. If you see, guys, every slide in some way, maybe little smaller, larger, it is applicable to your business analysis as a practice. Okay, so when I say, please understand perspectives, because you need to apply it. Please understand CCM, because you need to apply it. Please understand elicitation techniques, because you need to apply it. It is true. The expanse of the work of a BA is actually very wide. So in truly sense, if you want to be a business analyst, which you all have determined to be, then these applications of all these concepts is important. And you know why it's why one of the competencies of business analyst is analytical skills? Because you're analytical, you're able to assess the applicability of context, or let's say any component of your practice, right, of your methodology or whatever. You can apply that because you see that applicability in your project. So I may have taught you maybe different perspectives, different contexts, different components of CCM model, different this, different that, but you don't have to apply all of them. I just wanted to teach you the entire thing end to end. Now, what applies to your project will depend on you. And you know how you guys get groomed well? So, business analysis as a practice in the industry is done like that. Tomorrow, let's say Arpita is now a qualified certified business analyst. First of all, she'll be tied to a senior business analyst. Okay, she will just shadow him or her. So let's say Arpita is, let's say I tomorrow, let's say she joins my team. Okay, in Accenture. So what I will do is she will just shadow me. So 2, 3 junior BAs always shadow. I call them junior because they are fresh into BA practice. Otherwise, let's say if she brings 5 years of a good work experience, then obviously she's not termed as a junior BA. Yeah, she shadows me. I do a particular project. The timeline is 4 months, and she watches me, observes me, discusses with me all the concepts that I'm applying, and I'm telling her why they are applicable. My information about application of concepts again comes from the same Bible, which is called Babok, which I have understood, Arpita has understood. But now she's tallying that with me. Why are you applying this in this case? Because she needs to just get conversant with maybe two business scenarios, one project after another, where I apply the concepts because of certain, asks from the business side. So she will probably have to just shadow me. She will shadow me in business analysis activities, in elicitation activities, in business case development activities, my workshops with the stakeholders, end to end, so that she gets conversant with everything. That is how each one of you will likely undergo, and that is the so-called industry training. Okay, it may happen for a month for a project, 2 months maybe at the best, but the fact is that you will, I mean, get pretty much groomed quickly on that front before you have the confidence to pick up a project by yourself. And there you will probably realize a bit more meaning. See, I can give examples, I can probably explain you the way it was done by me some time back, or today, or tomorrow, or yesterday, whatever. But the fact is, once you will do it by yourself, right, it'll be probably a very different thing altogether. Yeah. So this is, guys, what is the thing. Okay, good. Where are we now? Slide 93. Yeah. Okay. So what are we going to do ahead, guys? Maybe coming Saturday. Let's see what is our scope of things now. After that, we step into BI, then BPM, then business architecture, then agile life cycle comes back. Okay, then bit more detailing on BI. Then more. Here is where I was talking. This there. Look at this: descriptive, predictive, prescriptive. The different kind of analytics that you will do as a BA. That comes under BI. Then comes your IT. Then comes BPM. Then comes your business architecture framework in detail. And then this thing finishes. Yep. Okay. Fine, guys. I think next Saturday we'll take an hour or something to finish this. Please remember someone that we are on slide 933. Okay. And yeah, so we'll carry forward from there. So this completes maybe our elicitation and perspectives part. And after that, I think we'll step into requirement management part. Then I think I've got a case study for this elicitation techniques. So we will do that next Sunday. Then we will complete this stuff. And then for coming to next weekend, I think we will probably start stepping into our detailed case study as well. So I think this is how we will carry on. Okay, not too bad. So far, so good. All right, guys, great. So I hope you enjoyed the session. And let's, yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thank you very much for your patience and energies with me. So good night, good night, guys. Have a nice evening ahead, and let's meet up next Saturday. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you. Bye. Bye.